Welcome in. It is is it Tuesday?
Yes.
There's nobody to the left of me and there's nobody to the right of me. You're stuck in the middle with me.
No, I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cathy has joined us in our studio. Cathy Littleton, good evening, everyone. It is coming up to 6 o'clock, and the dogs are all excited for some reason. I think it's because you've made a friend. Uma likes you again.
She likes me. She doesn't think I shocked her
anymore. I know. See, you didn't shock her. We have a great show lined up for you this evening. It is County Council evening, and it should be a barn burner. Rainey is on temporary assignment. We'll get to hear from him coming up in just a bit. He's going to be joining us after he makes his little presentation. He's going to be at the council meeting this evening, I hear. Did you actually bring me any grapes, sour grapes? I heard that's what I need.
No. I had regular grapes. I don't have any sour grapes.
No sour grapes for you. Okay. Well, apparently our friend says that I need some sour grapes.
Oh dear.
I have to tell him I'm living the best life right now, actually. Yeah. Doing things that we need to do. But a little bit later on, after we get done with the county council, I think we've got some things that we're going to talk about. It is getting to be election season. Now, you were just mentioning before we went on the air, you're ready for school to be out.
Yes.
Well, I am too, but I'm also ready for this mess to be over with. I'm hoping for June the 11th and hoping things can get back to some sort
June
of normal.
12th, really.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be tied up in litigation for months to come, because if he loses, we're going to be having that conversation. I was cheated. I was cheated out of it. So anyway, that's where we stand right now. We're anxiously awaiting the start.
Not. Maybe.
Well, I hope not.
I hope not too.
I'm just hoping that we can get back to some normalcy here in the county. Of course, there's no telling what we're going to find or what's going to happen. So 6 o'clock, I looked at the agenda and I didn't see anything that stood out at me that would make me question what's going on. I know they're reading some ordinances again. We have another budget deal we're going to hear a little bit about tonight, and that's about it for the get together for county council. So as soon as that gets started, we will catch out and check in with that. But also, too, coming up, we got some other things that we're going to be a part of. June the 1st, as you know, the Republican Party, Republican men and Republican women, is going to be hosting the candidates. That's at South Cove. And you were talking about, if can somebody come,
right?
It's a park. I mean,
right.
If they want to listen, they can. So anyway, it is time. Let's join now the council as the chairman is getting ready to bring everything to.
Thanks for coming out. The time is 6 p.m., May 21st, 2024. I call to order this meeting, regular council meeting of the Oconee County Council. Let's begin with a moment of silence. Mr. David Root, would you pray for us?
Yes, sir. Pray for me if you'd like to. Dearest Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for our lives, for creating us and sustaining us, giving us the breath of life. With that, help us to do good, to live our lives fruitfully, and this evening for council to be guided by your wisdom, by your spirit, so that they can enact ordinances, do their business consistent with your will and by your guidance, and in full appreciation of the moment. Help us all to live in the moment and then live in appreciation, knowing that tomorrow is not guaranteed, but we have today and we have now, and we are grateful for that. In your name I pray. Amen.
Sergeant Morley, would you lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, approval of minutes for the May 7th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Any discussion, any changes? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, we have county attorney comments, Mr. David Root.
I have none, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Root. County administrator comments, Mr. Amanda Brock.
I have none either, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brock. All right, next we have public comment session. As a reminder, you have 5 minutes.
I thought they said
You
I
reach the
have
4 minute
none.
mark, I'll hold up
Other
the
than
yellow
none.
warning sign, 1 minute warning. When you get to 5 minutes, I'll hold up the red stop sign.
Mr. Tom Markovich.
Thank you. For the record, I am Tom Markovich. I wanted to speak tonight and address this first reading on this ordinance to change the minimum lot size on control-free district. These changes will have a devastating effect and impact on the landowners that are currently in that zoning district that may want to develop their property in the future. Property that someone had hoped to divide into 4 lots per acre, but does not have sewer access available, may only divide it into 2. The net result is the owner has a substantial loss of value.
Developers.
Yeah, basically,
The
That's the
reason
idea.
attributed to this change is a correlation between lot size and on-site wastewater use. Nothing.
I mean, if it was set up today, there would be sewer all over the county.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously. I mean, that's just where it's heading. But if you don't do something and you just let it go, then we're going to wind up Greenville. I mean, that's a fact. We're seeing it now. Just go get on 123 and take a ride. In our lifetime, let's look at 123. That's a prime example. Did you ever think that Clemson and Seneca would connect?
Mm-mm. Well, and here's the thing. Take your hint, pal. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be ugly, but
Facts are the facts.
yeah, I mean, you are the target of this. I mean, your folks are the target of this.
Yeah.
This is what we're trying to prevent. Yes, we do not want quarter-acre lots. We do not want cookie-cutter houses. We do not want one stacked on top of the other. That's we don't like it. We don't want it. People are tired of it.
No.
They're saying no.
And just like I said, you have a developer that's in charge of the planning commission.
Mhm.
Could be further from the truth. This is the oldest folklore in this county. We had a discussion in this very room 25 years ago about lot size. DHEC was here from Columbia, and they confirmed that there was no such thing as minimum lot size. We all had to fit into a specific standard. So there's no correlation between lot size and septic tanks. DHEC is the only agency in this state that is allowed to license the use of the septic tanks and on-site wastewater. And although, and we've had this discussion many times here, and it has
Good
stayed
thing they
in
got
the
rid of
reg
DHEC, right?
only because
Well,
of
that's
the
yeah.
political will that was pushing it. Not because it's
We have that
legal.
health
The
bazaar now.
Constitution points out for home rule, that
Thanks,
there has to be
freedom caucus.
uniformity when a state agency is charged with a particular thing, and that's DHEC is charged with on-site wastewater use. And so there has to be uniformity across the state. And when counties start trying to regulate this themselves, it's not uniform. And so that's an issue. The other thing I'd like to point out is this. When zoning was started in this county, every single property was zoned control-free.
That's
And
absence
so,
of zoning.
And then shortly after, people began to rezone of their own accord, of their own choice.
Citizen initiating zoning.
That
He's
was
right.
their decision that they made to rezone.
That's correct.
And as they did that, there were certain implications that came into play that had wastewater and all that sort of stuff tied into it. It didn't impact any of them. They were already on individual lots that already had sewer or had septic tanks. There was no impact there. So, and a lot of them were in subdivisions that had deed restrictions. So, I mean, it didn't really change anything. So, and this is my point, and that was their choice to do that. I understand that. But what we're talking about here tonight is taking that choice away for all these other property owners. And to me, that is a huge taking. And I think it's just something that really needs to be thought through. I've heard the arguments about failing septic tanks. Well, I can tell you with a 3 or 4 inch of rain, the sewer system also has failures.
Now, he's not lying
There's
there.
a lot of things.
He's telling the truth there.
But the thing that's true about septic
Good thing we
tanks
put one out on
is that none of
85.
those
In the history of Oconee County Sewer, of the plant, when it started up in like 1980, early 80s, DHEC came in about 4 or 5 years later and continuously threatened. And then at one time they did fine for the illegal sewage that was backing up. So from day one, the sewer system itself has had this issue. So he's telling the truth there. It has happened, and it still occurs on a regular basis. And yet you're right. We haven't even added 85 yet to the equation. It's coming, and there's nobody on it. So we're going to have to go there and pay them to fill it up to put water back up here. So it's coming. I mean, the guy's telling the truth here, completely correctly and accurately.
failures are about size. Has nothing to do with the lot size. And so I just think this thing needs to be put to rest once and for all. Thank you.
Mr. Markovich?
Rainey Bond,
Oh, here we go, boys.
Yay.
Listen
For the
up.
record, I'm Randy Bond. I live in Long Creek. First, I want to say thanks for you guys for what you do and everything for the county. I come here to ask a couple questions about the upcoming lawsuit, mostly about the lawyer that was hired and the process to do that. I looked at South Carolina Association of Counties Public Information pages, Chapter 11, and it says there's only 6 specific reasons that you'd go into executive session and vote on something. And picking a lawyer doesn't seem to fit that. But feel free to answer that if you like. But Mr. William W. Wilkins of Maynard Nixon has replied on April 19th to the lawsuit. Maynard Nixon PC is a woke corporate enterprise that has 24 offices in some of the wokest cities in the United States: Austin, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, San Francisco, Washington, D.C. On the website, they have gigabytes that are set aside for their dedication to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Recruiting, hiring, and developing diverse attorneys, reducing minority and female attrition are some of the cornerstones of that company, not quality lawyers. I reached out to some cohorts from back when I got my MBA, and I asked about Maynard Nixon, and they said they're probably one of the most expensive law firms anyone could hire. So while I applaud you at picking the most expensive, did you pick the best? It's interesting that this particular council would choose a firm that's more interested in diversity than quality in their lawyers. 3 of you subscribe fully and support the OCC platform. And according to that, Section H on critical race theory, you do not support the promulgation of critical race theory in any corporate, public, or educational meeting. CRT and DEI go hand in hand, and they're counter to the philosophy of colorblind meritocracy, where each person is rewarded, promoted, selected, and otherwise judged by their specific and individual skills, talents, expertise, and experience. In closing, this corporate law firm does not represent the values that you told us you portray. I'd just like to know, did you know that before you chose that law firm? And why didn't you choose a local lawyer? Mr. Mize, every time we want to buy something, you ask if we can buy it local. we could have got a local lawyer. Now, on behalf of most of my uniparty constituents and the listeners to Elkwood, they're happy that you're supporting the deed. But I just confused. And that's all I have. And I got a show to do. Thanks.
Y'all like apples? How about them apples?
I want some sour grapes.
Yeah.
Hey, and even guess who just walked in? Did you see who just walked in? Hold on. Let me go back just a little bit. You got to see who just walked in. Sour grape man himself. He just walked
They're
in.
happy
There he is.
that you're supporting the deed.
Oh,
He walks in,
I just
and
confused.
there he is. He just made it on time.
That's all I have.
Got him some
I
sour
got a show
grapes.
to do.
bless.
Bless him.
Oh,
You know, I have to admit, I think Rainey, Rainey told it like it was. I mean, seriously, he brings up some great points in that.
yeah. I mean, they say all this stuff, but when it hits the fan, where do they go?
Well,
They go out of town. They pick somebody who is completely against everything they say they're for, which is pretty much standard for them. You know.
Well, here's the deal. Okay. Rainey, the point that I think Rainey's making too, and we're going to ask him because he's on his way, is that how did you go about getting this law firm?
They certainly didn't ask the taxpayers that are going to wind up paying for them.
It wasn't voted on. It wasn't opened. Now I know what they're going to say. Pending litigation, we can't discuss that. That's what they're going to say. But when you're spending taxpayer
we're not talking about the
dollars,
litigation. We're talking about picking the attorney and paying for the attorney.
right?
The actual business of it.
There is.
So-
You're right, Kathy. There's a big difference. We're
Huge.
not talking.
We're not talking about discussing case law or anything like that.
We're talking about spending the taxpayers' dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And you choose a firm that goes against everything of every principle that you say you're for. It goes against the OCC creed.
Yep.
Is that an oxymoron?
Yeah.
You preach one thing, but yet you're doing another. But yet you're doing it behind closed doors. I mean, seriously.
Y'all gonna lose your white nationalist card.
I mean, seriously. Well, I mean, we've already said that. All right, let's get back and continue to see what's up next.
Mary Smith.
Hello, my name is Mary Smith. I live in Seneca, South Carolina. This is the first time I have been to a meeting, so y'all bear with me. I might get a little nervous. But I have a complaint where my building, I have 3 storage buildings, and they were broken into, and my property value is more than $10,000. And I would like to give this to you all, because some things I probably don't need to mention in here. And in doing that, after filing a police report, they did write it up at first. And it was handed over from Pitts to Barry Owens and Jimmy Dixon and Crooks. So I was informed by Owens that they didn't plan on doing anything about it because the guy that's involved in it, he made a statement that he was in good shahoot with the police, so they're not going to do anything.
Wow. That's interesting. We know the name. We recognize the first name.
Wow. Wowee.
That we're not going to do anything about it.
Wowee. I like that she came up there. And here's just another little thing. When you see somebody who's and I've noticed this several times, when they see somebody at council that comes to speak and they can't get around, don't you think they could take the microphone to them? An older person that has trouble getting up to the microphone, can't they take a mic to them?
Well,
That's just, I mean, just a,
I would think that, you would have it available for
Yeah.
anyone that had an ADA situation, Americans with Disability. And seriously, she qualifies for ADA.
yeah.
You would have some sort of remote device that you could hand to keep somebody
Yeah,
walking. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I do.
Just a small side point
or
there.
make some sort of concessions to help a person that's clearly
Yeah, I
having
mean, don't
trouble
make them
walking.
come up and I mean, take it to them. Come
But
on, y'all.
that was interesting.
That is interesting.
All right, let's finish up and see what else she has to say.
And that's what Owens told me. Well, we're not gonna do anything about it, so they did not follow up with the people that could prove they had my property.
OCC, y'all.
I don't know what to say.
I do.
I mean, there.
Not
I'll
only that,
go back to
Chad
it in a minute.
admitted he had my property, but I was gonna have to pay to get it back.
What?
That's my property. So why should I have to pay for
Fled.
something I done already bought, paid for? And if there's anybody in here that thinks I deserve that, I wanna know now.
Well, you know that Matt Man's about to come to the defense.
But we need to call some alphabet agencies right now. I mean, y'all.
Well, here's the deal. Okay, let's go back and put this in perspective. So a couple of Sunday mornings ago, there was 2 signs that was placed in Chris Ruin's yard for Matt Durham. 2 of them came on his property and trespassed. Then, of course, you can watch the video. You came on Chris Ruin's property and put those 2 signs. And that just started World War III. And the sheriff's department came and picked up 2 signs. But we have this
drove
lady
all the way
went
to Long Creek
on 2 signs.
How
that
much
were
is gas?
placed,
How much is gas?
But was placed on Chris Ruin's private property. Came on in the middle of the night and put these 2 signs up. Now, I told you how I feel. That was a calculate. They did that on purpose.
Of course they did.
They did that.
Stirring the pot.
But this lady right here, I'd love to get her on this show because I'd like to hear what she has to say.
She said over $10,000.
That's a huge felony.
Yeah, that's a felony. That's exactly right.
And the problem is, and I don't know the other side, but the problem is, I believe this lady.
What reason does she have to come up there and lie? What would be the motivation?
Because I've heard other stories similar to hers and similar from other people in the community saying the exact same thing has happened to me. I've heard it before. I've heard it for over 15 years, maybe 20. I've heard this exact same story from other people.
2025. Yeah.
I've heard this. I've heard this from every different people. This poor lady having the exact same problem. And when it come right down to it, they would investigate it. But yet they'll go investigate and pick up 2 signs, something that was placed on Chris's property that was trespassed.
Because somebody called to whine.
And who would that be that called to whine?
Oh, yeah.
He's sitting right there in the middle.
Right there.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
And when it was your people that placed those signs.
We got problems,
Because
y'all.
it's my property. I bought it and paid for it with honest money.
I'm going to find out who she is and reach out to her.
Mary Smith.
And not only that, I like working with the nursing homes, doing stuff for them. I made up a bunch of stuff and I do Christmas for them. So this time I didn't get to do it because they stole all my stuff and I make stuff like this for them. Take it in. I sit with them and give them stuff.
Shame.
So
Y'all
they
be
stole
shamed.
all my craft stuff that I had bought up, like my soldering irons and everything I need to use. All that stuff's gone. All my clothes, all my dishes, everything. They have put me under a lot of stress with it. Not only that, having to deal with having hip surgery. And they took advantage of me being handicapped.
I'm going to call Mike Crenshaw tomorrow. This bothers me.
Everybody needs to call Mike Crenshaw tomorrow.
This absolutely bothers me.
Have you got his number? Let's put it up right now.
I'll get the office number.
Yeah.
But
call him.
I want somebody needs to ask some questions.
Everybody needs to ask the question.
I'm sorry, but this bothers me.
So that's all I got to say.
Mike Johnson.
Candace, I'm going to answer your question. I kind of agree with what you're saying. I want to reach out to this lady. I'm going to try to find out and get her number, see if I can reach out to her, because I'd like to talk to her. I'd like to find out, and have a sit down, maybe that she's willing to be able to go on and talk with us in an interview, because I'm gonna reach out tomorrow to see if we can make contact with her to find out. I want to hear her story. I know that we're for time and stuff, but I really would like to hear what she has to say, because when she mentioned the first name, that there's been issues before, Cathy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been issues before. This same deputy went to court and was in the defense section for a pedophile.
Mm-hmm. More than one.
More than once.
More than one.
Yeah, more than one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm very concerned about that, because there's a pattern here. There's a pattern here that's been developed.
Just wow.
And she's not the first person that has said something like this. And I know for at least 20 years that I've heard the exact same stories. Well, we know who did it, but we're not going to charge them. Blah, 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 blah. I'm losing support for our sheriff's department fast.
Well, I mean, evidently, and I mean, I might get the hairy eyeball and may wake up with my house burnt down or something, but evidently these people think they can't be replaced. I mean, is that the deal? Y'all think y'all can't be replaced?
Candace,
I mean,
the deputy's name was Barry Owens. That was the first deputy. I didn't catch, I caught the last name. Jimmy Dixon. Jimmy Dixon was the middle one. And then Rashad Crooks.
And I know that there are situations, this and that, but I mean, if somebody has like 3 storage buildings and their stuff is gone and they know who has it, I mean, there has to be some sort of recourse.
Well, that's why I would like to talk to this lady.
Even if it's a situation where somebody's taken it and there's a dispute, you know how to direct them to small claims. You know how to, I mean, there's a process in any way, shape, or form. There's a process. I just don't get it.
I don't either, but we're going to get to the bottom of it.
Mr. Johnson, you think you need more than 4 minutes, you can speak.
It shouldn't take much longer than that, but I appreciate it. For the record, my name is Mike Johnson, and I'm the chairman of the Planning Commission for Oconee County. And I'm here on behalf of the Planning Commission to ask for your approval for Ordinance 20.
Let me back up here. Did he just tell him that he could have more time if he needed it?
Yeah, he did. He did that. He did that thing.
Okay, this is public.
He didn't even skip a beat.
Okay, this is
over a lady who just lost all her stuff.
This is public comment. And public comment, you're limited to the amount of time, but yet he's going to give the chairman, that's not the time or place.
24-18. In 2012, Oconee County adopted zoning throughout the entire county. And for years, we had some of the more restrictive development standards compared to our neighbors. Over the past few years, those neighboring counties have experienced an explosion in high-density type development, which has not gone unnoticed. For the past 2 years, the Planning Commission has been having serious discussions regarding future of high-density development in our area, especially within the relaxed standards of our control-free zone. Of all the zoning classification, control-free makes up about 80% of our county's area, with no residential development density type restriction, which makes it vulnerable to future high-density style development. In April of last year, we, the Planning Commission, thought we had a workable solution where the proposed subdivision of a certain size and acreage would trigger a rezoning of that property into a residential category. However, in running this idea through the legal department, there was a concern that these random sizes and random acreage triggers could be met with legal challenges. So my point in describing the past actions is to let you know that this ordinance is not a first attempt and not a first draft at trying to place roadblocks into unrestricted development density. The Planning Commission believes Ordinance 2024-18 is a well-balanced document and our county's best option to have some level of density control over future development. But here's the cool factor as a private property rights advocate such as myself. I'm sure you're familiar with the zoning matrix in Chapter 36. It talks about what you can and can't do on your own personal property in zoned areas. The cool factor is this ordinance change has no effect on the current use and enjoyment property owners have in their control-free area. Whether that's farming, gardening, having a small engine repair shop in their garage, whatever use and freedoms they currently enjoy, those owners still have all those freedoms of use. Additionally, if an owner wants to sell off a piece of their land, this ordinance has no additional restriction on the size or use for what currently exists within control-free regulations. In fact, if an owner wants to build a small family compound or a small subdivision of up to, say, 10 homes, nothing about the control-free district has changed for them. This ordinance affects the density of homes for developers building subdivisions of more than 10 homes. This number of more than 10 homes is not an arbitrary number, as it aligns with the road design and development standards found in Chapter 6 of our existing ordinances. Any type of change can be met with concern and confusion, so let me make a few points very clear in layman's terms. And Mr. Root can correct me if I say something that needs more legal explanation. Up until 2017, I believe, we had a county ordinance that said if your lot requires septic, you have to have a minimum of 0.58 acres to build. That was every property in the entire county. We removed this ordinance as a planning commission, as DHEC has no such regulation, and it was not within our purview to regulate the state. In clear words, this ordinance change is less restrictive than what we had up until 2017. While density restrictions increase the cost of housing and Oconee County is in need of additional workforce housing, the Planning Commission believes that this quarter-acre density is no more restrictive than the affordability than the lot size of the Habitat development in West Union with their access to sewer. This ordinance does not prevent an individual from owning, building, or installing a septic system on their property of less than a half acre. The ability to install a septic system, again, is at the discretion of DHEC. This ordinance change has nothing to do with setbacks, front setbacks, side setbacks for control-free areas. Those have been in place for years. In short, if you don't pass the ordinance, nothing about control-free changes. Nothing changes about the required setback. Nothing changes about the availability of the freedoms and uses. If you do choose to pass this ordinance, nothing changes in the control-free about the current required setbacks. Nothing changes about the availability of freedom of uses of that control-free property, except if you want to develop the property in a subdivision of more than 10 homes, you would then be affected. So, and as you all know from reading it, 1 home per half acre or 1 home per quarter acre, all of our zones have that. whether it's residential, rural residential, they all have an element, but the wording there says utility as opposed to septic or sewer. We tried to make it clear in our last revision to address it as on-site wastewater removal or off-site wastewater removal, because utilities, when it was really talking about septic, seemed a little confusing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John.
Kevin Christenberry.
So let me just say, for the record, before I bring Randy Bond on, I don't know if we know what the hell we're doing. I mean, seriously, it appears to me that we just had a bunch of hoopla there, just making something sound pretty.
Word salad, yummy, yummy. Yeah.
I mean, nothing made. I mean, we're still in the same boat. Look, we got a problem.
Yes.
And this group ain't gonna solve it. And the planning commission, they're not gonna solve it. So we're just going to kick the beer can on down the road, or the tequila bottle, which incidentally, apparently you can't drink liquor anymore in Oconee County without going to hell, according to some folks.
Well, I tell you what.
Yes, Randy.
Well, I tell you what, Tony Adams was on it today about me.
Yeah, he hates your guts.
Well, you know.
But that's my cousin, man.
Yeah.
Some people only feel alive if they're hating something.
I just, for the life of me.
Is this thing on?
It is on.
I can't hear you out of my
I can hear you.
I can hear you fine.
I'm not hearing my headphones.
Well, you got to turn yourself up. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3.
Sorry about that.
Can you hear it now?
No, I can hear you on the
Can you hear it now?
No. But
well, make sure it's plugged up down there.
I don't know.
Turn the volume control up there, Randy.
I turned it up. I turned it down. Turned it all around. That's just nothing. But that's all right.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can't drink in this town no more. These folks want to take us back pre-prohibition, put women back before they could vote. But hey, they want to hire the wokest lawyers in the country.
They like to outsource stuff, you know.
Oh yeah, they don't do anything in house.
No, they don't buy here, pay here. They don't. Yeah, all their advertising and stuff comes from other places.
I did enjoy your comment at the end, the uniparty, and you've got to go do a show. I thought that was a very good point to close your speech out with.
And here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't lying. I was definitely I got to be here for my fans. Chris is not here. Very, very.
Chris is here online.
Low key show tonight because Chris is not here. We miss you, buddy.
Agenda 21.
They do like to throw that out there. I mean, he drives that, you know.
So tell me what I missed on the drive down here. I ran 3 stoplights.
If you're just tuning in or you're just joining us, there was a lady that came before to speak in public comment. And I'm going to tell you, I really think I ought to go back and pull it up and let's play it again.
Mary Smith. Let's
go back and pull it up because I think everybody needs to listen to this. It's pretty bad.
Was she the lady in the walker that came in? She was very distraught when I spoke to her. I didn't know what she was going to speak about.
She was very distraught. And you need to listen to this. We're going to go back and play it. This is public comment. You need to listen to this word for word.
And here again, why can't they hand someone who can't get around a microphone? Why they got to get up there and come to the podium?
Well, I know that it's been addressed by several citizens with the county administrator that the production of the county council meetings is absolutely subpar, that using outdoor security camera as a instrument to publish the county council meeting is like 1987.
Who said this?
So just a couple people from the public. They think that the county could invest minimal money into a better system that would actually zoom in to each person talking so that you can know who's talking, because looking across the room, if you don't know their voices, you'd have no clue.
There's technology out there that
I can tell you
happen.
too, if you're watching it from home and watching it on YouTube and not watching it through us, if you're watching it live, you don't have closed caption.
Right.
You have to wait until it's old to get the closed caption.
I think I offer closed captioning now.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
we do.
We do.
But if you're watching it through the county channel, you have to wait until it's old to watch it. If you're watching it real time, it won't close caption.
but there's a way though that they could do it
Well,
in real time.
I didn't mean to get completely
Anyway,
sideways,
let's
but
go back.
It
and
could be better produced.
Let's go back and listen to this. This is Miss Smith.
Hello, my name is Mary Smith. I live in Seneca, South Carolina. This is the first time I have been to a meeting, so y'all bear with me. I might get a little nervous. But I have a complaint where my building, I have 3 storage buildings, and they were broken into, and my property value is more than $10,000. And I would like to give this to you all, because some things I probably don't need to mention in here. And in doing that, after filing a police report, they did write it up at first. And it was handed over from Pitts to Barry Owens and Jimmy Dixon and Crooks. So I was informed by Owens that they didn't plan on doing anything about it because the guy that's involved in it, he made a statement that he was in good shahoot with the police, so they're not gonna do anything. And that's what Owens told me, well, we're not gonna do anything about it, so they did not follow up with the people that could prove they had my property. And not only that, Chad admitted he had my property, but I was gonna have to pay to get it back.
Can somebody tell Glenn Hart to put the damn candy wrappers away?
I thought that was you.
No, that was him. That was the candy wrappers.
She mentioned the man's name that has her property too.
Chad.
Did she mention it?
Yeah, she said Chad had her property. So Chad, give her stuff back.
And Crooks. So I was informed by Owens that they didn't plan on doing anything about it because the guy that's involved in it, he made a statement that he was in good shahoot with the.
I mean, this doesn't shock me. I would love to tell both of you tonight that I am completely shocked, but I'm not. This is the same guy that went and fought for a pedophile to keep him out of prison.
Oh, no. Twice. He was in the paper for speaking on the behalf of child rapists.
But this is the same guy that's supposed to be preserving, defending the laws of the state of South Carolina and the United States of America.
And he's in the OCC.
Is he?
Is he not in the OCC? Was that not right?
I'm pretty sure that.
Was that not the thing?
We know he's best friends with David McMahon.
Well, there you go.
I mean, that's his pastor.
Well, when the OCC ran the party, the Republican Party, Mr. Owens was the security.
Well, there you go.
So,
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a map of their hierarchy or anything, but that was my assumption and what I had been.
When people come to in July to vote.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get caught back up to wherever we were at.
The word.
Yeah. We're going to rejoin it with Kevin Christenberry, Fire Chief of Corinth, Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department.
Cool.
Hey, Council, I appreciate seeing y'all again a couple weeks later from last week. So my name is Kevin Christenberry. I'm the Fire Chief of Corinth Shiloh Fire Department. I'm here to speak on behalf of the volunteers about Resolution 2024-12. On the agenda tonight that directs the County Board of Elections to hold the election regarding the creation of our Special Purpose Tax District on the same day as the general election. The department covers 5 voting precincts: Newry, Corinth, Ravenel, and parts of Shiloh, Seneca 2, and New Hope. These precincts represent council seats 1, 3, and 5. The timing of the election is important to the community. Our community and volunteers need to have this election before August 1st, 2024. So when it passes, the county can include the district on this year's tax notices. Waiting till November puts off the funding for an entire year. This means that the volunteers will have to hold fundraising activities for another year. The special election allows the people to focus only on one very important issue, and it allows the electors to either vote up or down. The community and the volunteers want a high voter turnout. We want the electors to be knowledgeable about the issue and why it's important to the community. We are holding community meetings and using media resources to educate the community about the needs of the fire department. Oconee County has set a precedence regarding holding special elections. On August 12th, 2003, a special election was held to create Curie District. On August 23rd, 2005, a special election was held for the Point Shiloh community. The negative effect of delaying the vote will require the volunteers to spend resources raising funds, while also holding community meetings, which would take twice the effort of the volunteers. We do not have the manpower to complete 2 tasks simultaneously while still maintaining the operations of the fire department. I have one additional item for the county attorney. I'm not sure if this is an issue or not, but on May 7th at the council meeting, there's also a resolution 2024-12 recognizing and designating the ratification of April as the Fair Housing Month. So it's the same number, so I'm not sure if that's an issue or not. In closing, we respectfully request that you vote this resolution down and hold a special election before August 1st, 2024. Thanks.
Have one before? They're asking to have the special election in August instead of the general election?
Well, yeah, I mean, they want to go ahead and get it done so they can start getting the money. But also, if they have a special election, all the voters aren't going to come out like they would.
That's exactly that's their game plan.
And so that's.
I mean, you know, from an aspect of trying to get to make your own district, you're pulling the appropriate thing. But I got to be honest with you, this is not the solution. I'm sorry.
I agree.
It's not the solution. You need to go ahead and do it for all the county. And for unfortunately, the volunteer era of firefighting in Oconee County is over.
I don't necessarily think it's over. I think it can be blended, but there's a lot of hardships that go into being a volunteer.
No, I know that.
The amount of training, the amount of time you got to spend, the effort, and you know.
But why would we want to just set up another special tax district here?
Oh, I see.
And have nothing over here at say Oakway or Fairplay or Long Creek or all of these other fireplaces that do just as much to help the community out. Yeah, I understand that Corinth Shiloh's base is more commercial now than it ever has been, and I get that. But if you're going to do this, you might as well come up with a plan, and let's do this throughout the whole county. Let's staff all these fire departments 24/7, and you could still have the volunteers.
Well, here's one. Here's one for you. Mountain Rest, Long Creek, Rescue 6. Take that one for example. Mm-hmm. Everybody on Rescue 6 works somewhere else.
That's right.
The day.
Yeah. Yes.
And so between 6 in the morning, well, let me back up, but 4 in the morning till 6 at night, if there's a problem, an ambulance has got to ship from Westminster or Walhalla, sometimes even Seneca, depending on. So you're talking about 20-minute response times.
Mm-hmm.
The fire department, all those members are employed as well. There's no one that is standing by in Long Creek or Mountain Rest.
So
come to your aid.
So doesn't it make sense to go ahead and let's formulate this and let's have paid firefighters throughout the county at all the fire?
Absolutely.
And then have them cross-trained to either be a first responder or an EMT basic?
Well, when we got a county council that says that they're wanting to support our EMS and our firefighters and our cops,
then support
what they
them.
need to do is really take long, hard looks at and be like, what are the needs of the citizens? Who lives in Mountain Rest, Long Creek area?
More people than there were 25 years ago.
Yes.
There's a lot more.
Yes.
But here's the thing. 25 years ago, a lot of people retired here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those people are not the spring chickens they were when they built their forever homes.
Mm-hmm.
They're still up there. Now, and you find an elderly gentleman or elderly lady that has fallen and she's been there for a day or two.
You make a great point, Randy.
The response times, that has nothing to do with the response times. They live out there by themselves, and we start to see more and more of them that don't have the proper care that they should have.
Well, at one time, you had 5 ambulances, and they all were dispatched out of Oconee. So if you had a cardiac arrest patient at Kiwi Key, you're guaranteed it's going to be 20 minutes before a medic can get to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was where most of the cardiac arrest patients were occurring back years ago because of that age demographic. Well, that age demographic has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest of the county has caught up with that generation now in Kiwi Key, and you're having more and more people. You know, you don't really bring a cardiac patient to Oconee anymore. If they're actually having a heart attack, they're life flighted out. They're going straight to Greenville. They're not they're not going to Oconee. But my point of it is, before we go to all of this mess and tax just this area, it's time to take a broad look at the whole county in general. We have grown. We're still growing. We've got more coming. Let's go ahead and be proactive instead of reactive.
So I come from a military background. Everything should be uniform in every station in the county, so that any volunteer can go into any station.
Yeah.
Any Battalion 21 person can go into any station and have access to the exact same things to give the exact same service, no matter what, anywhere in the county.
Yeah.
That makes perfect
sense.
sense.
Bountyland, the new station they have there,
Mm-hmm.
should be the standard for every fire station in the county.
But it should be built in the better location.
But you can't help that sometimes.
You can. You could have. You did not have to build it there. It was built in the wrong damn location because when traffic is backed up, they can't get out.
Certainly agree.
And they've had problems after problems with that.
But that
they can change the traffic flow easier than they can pick up and move that building.
When the county pays to tear down the school in Fairplay, the same exact station, they already paid for the engineered blueprints. The same station should be built in Fairplay, and then when they move to Oakway or wherever else they go, Holly Springs, all of them should be exactly the same.
All right, let's get back to it.
Chief,
Yes.
I just said thank you.
Okay, thanks.
It's going to be
Danny Del Marcus. Sorry.
And this is another core in Shiloh.
Hello, for the record, my name is Danny Delmarco. I've been a volunteer with Corn Shallow for over 33 years, so started back in 1991. The agenda item for tonight is to put the special, or the election for the tax district in November. We're here to ask that we need to have that done on or before August 1st of this year. The main reason for that is to make sure we're able to secure funding for the fire department and make sure we also have the abilities for fundraising if need be, and this will put us in a bind without knowing the results of the election. On the petition that we sent out, it does state that after the initial special election, so it doesn't say anything about the general election.
He's right. I mean, it was a special election, and they're trying to hold this at the same time with the general election so that everybody could come out and vote. I get it, but I also understand what they're trying to do as well. You want that special election. You want it to be voted in a special election that's not even with the general election, because I think they know that if it is on the ballot in a general election, it may not pass because it didn't pass 20 years ago when they tried this.
And and it shouldn't pass
But-
because the entire county needs the same standard of service.
Well, it doesn't.
And just because they built a 3-story fire department or whatever that beautiful building they have over there is, and they're not being able to pay for the mortgage, is not a reason for us to have these people pay that. What really needs to happen is the county needs to assume that, take care of it, and move on.
Yeah, if there's a problem and they're having to figure out if they're going to have to budget, if they're going to get the free money, the county needs to come in and take it over immediately.
But don't special elections get you things like saying that you can use tax money for sewer?
And here's
I mean, isn't
talk
that
about
what we're
that.
trying to do here? I mean, and slip one in on the taxpayers, because
No, that should have been a referendum.
But here's why they got to slip it in on the taxpayers. And in my opinion, it's my opinion. We at Mountain Rest, the fire department had a open house on Saturday. Fire chief.
Yeah, thanks for that. I had a little boy that had a really good time. He got to ride in a fire truck. Yeah, it was awesome. Thank y'all.
So, but we had this open house. We let the kids come out. We did a lot of cool things for the community. Bought 1,000 hot dogs. That was what we put out there, and we only served 100. The community is not. I think COVID screwed that up. The community is not ready or willing to come out to things like that as they were in the early 2000s and the 80s and stuff. So it probably is really hard in Court of Shiloh with all those folks that kind of live behind the gates and stuff to encourage them to come out and support, the local community. So I kind of understand why they want this because it's fundraising's getting harder.
Well, the other thing, there was also had the tractor show at the farm center, and they had a small turnout, but that was awesome too. But I think at this time of year there are so many things,
there's so many activities going on in the community
that people just aren't even sure what to choose from.
Well, I agree. There is
a lot of.
You got graduation coming up.
You got
Saturday.
graduations going on. Yeah,
that's coming up Saturday.
It's also coming up on wedding season.
Yeah, don't get me started about graduation.
Oh gosh!
Hey, this morning, 5th grade graduation at James Brown. My boy, he was up there. He was proud. He got a certificate. He's going over to the middle school. He's probably going to learn some rap songs.
That's awesome.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it was awards day for us.
Wendell Bragg rides again.
So we'd hope council would take that into consideration to have a vote on or before that time. Yeah, thank you.
So,
Pam Murphy.
a really smart girl I know brought up something and said, can't they get a grant for this?
They get grants.
They get grants constantly.
Why don't they roll with that?
Evening, my name is Tim Murphy. Somehow I was lucky enough to survive 20 years of flying Navy jets on and off aircraft carriers before starting a career around here as a high school teacher. I've been a first responder with Oconee County Volunteer Fire Department for 11 years. On the afternoon of September 20th, 2019, I was directing traffic on my 4th call of the day when a speeding car blew right by a police car and over traffic cones and hit me face on going 50 miles an hour. I was helicoptered to Greenville Memorial Hospital with only a 5% chance of living. When I woke up in the trauma unit, I was told I had 11 broken bones, I would need 3 surgeries and 2 years of intense physical therapy to survive long-term the way I would want to survive. Yet here I am today. I beat the odds. A speeding car in our district almost did what 20 years of dangerous flying didn't do. I would not be here today if it had been for the local responders from the Corishaw Fire Department. The last year, really years, several of us have worked tirelessly at the fire station to get to where we are today to become a special tax district. We are proud of the work we have done along with the support of the community. It has been an endless task to educate people, many community meetings, many one-on-ones as to the ramifications for not having a district. It has been a long process to educate those in our area of coverage along with the many misconceptions our community had. You've heard the numbers. We have and are getting many more homes, apartments, vehicles, and we will not have the people to cover them. As volunteers, we all have jobs and families to support. Now it appears with the stroke of a pen, we may have done all that work for nothing. This out of the blue proposal to go with a November election passes, then the reality of it of not having a special fire district may come to fruition. There will not be enough of us volunteers to properly do our job, and our community will suffer, some with their homes, some with their lives. When people come in July to vote, whether yes or no, they will have thought through how and why they plan to vote and will do so accordingly. They will be focused on the issue, just one issue, yes or no to a fire district. When people come to vote in November, they will be focused on just one thing, voting for the next president of the United States. The vast majority will casually glance at the tax district proposal, along with any other side issues requiring a vote, and see the word tax staring them right in the face, and will likely vote no.
He's right.
I disagree with that. I don't think he's given anybody any credit. I mean, I don't just look at the president and I mean, when I'm voting, I seriously consider everything on my ballot.
But I know you do, and I do too. But there are those people that if they see something about taxes, it will be no automatically. If when you and the way that it'll be worded, do you want to create a special tax district? That's why they're fighting to have it early, because they can put their people in there to vote.
I can tell you where I vote, they've always done an excellent job about having the poll workers explain the questions. Like if there are special questions, they have done an excellent job of being very neutral and explaining the questions that are on the ballot. If you ever have a question, or if you ever ask, or if people come through, I mean, there's been years that we've had several questions on the ballot that are worded in a strange way, and they stop everyone to break it down and say, hi, today you're going to see these 3 questions, and I need to go over these with you. This is what they mean. I mean, they've done a great job, I think.
If you go back to the presidential PPP thing, I hope, I don't know where you guys voted or what you voted on, but the Republicans had 2 questions, and they were so weirdly written,
right,
that it was hard.
It was hard,
and we did take our time to explain that. This guy, though, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
That most people that are going to vote in November are low conscientious Trump supporters that are going to come out, and they're going to be focused on one thing, and that's what makes the primary so important, is because they're going to come up there and just pull them red handle and move on. But at the same time, though, Corner-Shiloh Fire Department has had 3 opportunities in 2024 to get this on a particular ballot. They had both presidential PPPs in February. They had the primaries in June, and they have the regular election in November. That's 3 opportunities. Why create a 4th one just for this?
Well, another thing too is they only had 803 something registered voters that signed the petition.
Right.
I would be
thinking, you need to have 10% of the district.
Well, I know that, but I would still be believing that there would be more if they were interested. There would be a whole lot more that would have signed that petition too. But you only had 803 people. But you just got the bare minimum.
Right.
In order to make a statement, I would have got 1,000. I would have got 2,000. I would have done something to have made a greater statement for the community that they wanted this. 803. Okay, well, we got our 10%. But
what is the actual cost? I've yet to hear. I've
heard 25 meals is $1 million.
Right.
Well, they were talking about tax wise. It was for people,
individuals.
It was going to be $300 more property taxes. That's what they said in the last meeting.
Was that on your car? Is that on your home?
That's the home.
Is that on your
for
boat?
A home,
that's on your home.
They were like $100 per 100,000
yes,
right.
value.
So, but property tax doesn't just stop at your home. It affects your car. It affects your boat, your motor home. A lot. Anything you put a tag on is going to get property tax, and that's a lot of money. Now, do they need $1 million a year for that fire department?
They're wanting 900. They were wanting $980-something thousand to fund it.
Right. But now here's the thing. A couple of years ago, when we first started this, remember watching county council meetings, and their representative Glenn Hart was like, they don't need paid staff.
That's right.
They don't need paid staff. Well, that'll discourage volunteers.
That's exactly right.
Now, fast forward 2 years, the volunteers are screaming that, hey, we're drowning over here. Throw us a lifeline. We need help.
You're right.
But here's the thing, Jeff. Every fire department in the county is in the same situation
that Corinth Child is in.
That, yeah. You got trucks that are down for maintenance. You got the county's moving assets around. You're
right.
You just don't know the severity of this.
That's why I'm saying.
And
now is the time, and it's not going to be with this council.
Put it in the budget.
But we've got sewer on 85. I just want to remind you.
That's more important.
I just want to remind y'all to just breathe a sigh of relief.
$25 million
we have
would go a
sewer
long
on
way.
85.
$25 million would go a long way.
Your house may burn down, but
hey, like you said,
we got sewer on 85.
Like that man said, some people will pay for this with their homes, others with their life.
Mm-hmm.
And the county council holds the lives of citizens in their hand every moment they don't protect the fire service and EMS.
But what I'm saying is that these three over here, the one in the middle and the two over here on the other side, they're not going to do anything. The county is held hostage. That's why it's so important that come June the 11th, that you vote for two of them off.
Absolutely.
And you replace them two. Because when you replace them two, that means you got 4 people minus one, because he's going to be sitting over in the corner all by his lonesome. And it's going to come back to haunt him, because he's going to be a silent minority.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I feel, that the 4 that would be up there is going to take this county and right the ship. I love India Lancaster's post this morning.
Which one?
With the
Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah, the ship. Turning it around.
That's not just the ship.
I know.
That's the Abraham Lincoln.
I know. But it's the point of it is, that's how it's got to be. If we don't do that right now in this county and shut this group completely down and say enough is enough, I dare think what January of 2025 is going to bring us. It's going to be hell on wheels in Oconee County.
Oh, absolutely.
And time to move to Pickens.
Yeah. Well, if the chairman would move back to Pickens, everything would be solved.
They don't want that.
No, it wouldn't be solved, but I'll tell you, it would shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you take people that were appointed on the planning commission, you get them off.
Mm-hmm.
You put them out and send them into the pasture, and you put people on that planning commission that understands what's happening in this county and is willing to do something that's not popular. Right. And what's not popular is we've got to have these development standards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard it till I'm sick of it. We got to have it. That's the same thing I preached on 2 years ago. I had the foresight before it was even being talked about.
We had people like that on the planning commission, but you don't see them on there anymore now, do you?
No, because they got run off.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get on to your anything else. I want to hear him talk about the budget.
I know that, and you know that. It's human nature. That's the way our minds think. If you vote for November, you are essentially voting down our tax district. And by us, I don't mean the fire station. I mean the thousands of people that we cover, both medically and fire. While your intentions may well be served, you stand to do irreparable harm to the many, many people that we are serving. I hate to be blunt, but that's what you're on the cusp of doing. We cannot continue to live off donations. While all those businesses on 123, where there's so many car wrecks, pay nothing. They donate nothing to us. Does it make the people in our community angry? Yes, it does. Please allow us to support our community. Please allow our community to vote in July. Thank you very much.
Mr. Murphy.
Maybe some of that being loose should go away.
Okay, now we have council member comment session.
Yes, Harold. Number one, I'd like to say that Memorial Day weekend is coming up. It'll be a dangerous weekend, and I want all of Oconee County citizens to be safe. Please be careful out there. Second thing I want to say, Mr. Chairman, is over 800 people signed that petition.
Yep.
Be a special purpose fire district.
Yep.
I respect their wishes. I will vote no to move it to the general election. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any other comments? Hear none, no. Ms. Smith, thank you for coming. I think I got an email from you this morning. I'll follow up, and I saw that you were speaking with Sergeant Morey as well. So thank you for coming and speaking up. And I don't know if everybody saw it or not, but I saw it on the Sheriff's Department Facebook page, announced that Deputy Lucas Watts will be returning home tomorrow, and they're gonna have they said mid-afternoon, I think about 2 o'clock, they're gonna try to welcome him at the exit 1, however.
Y'all didn't see this. Everybody clapped. Julian clapped. John clapped. The 3 bozos didn't.
Wow.
I'm serious. They didn't clap.
11 exit, but they said stay tuned to the Sheriff's Facebook page for updates on that time, but just wanted to inform everybody. Sergeant Moore, we may have your...
Mr. Thurman, we went to Columbia today, and his family received the award for him from the governor, so he won an Officer of the Year award today with a $10,000 check.
All right, hearing no more comments, we'll move to public hearing on third reading of quite a few ordinances. We will start off with ordinance 2024-13, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and Clarios LLC, formerly identified as Project Cherry, a company acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies, collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes, incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating or modifying a joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to designate the property of the project as part of such park and other related matters.
We just have one, Miss Elizabeth Crockett.
Gentlemen, it's my first meeting. It's a pleasure to see you all in action. I appreciate all you do. I am here as a longtime resident of Oconee County, and I shouldn't be called for the Clarios project. I should have been called for the Corinth Shiloh Fire District project. And I'm here to speak in support of the special referendum for the special tax.
You signed the wrong page.
Signed the wrong page. Sure did.
I live there, I work there, I have seen the Corinth Shiloh Fire Department in action. It wasn't until this proposal was made that I made an effort to understand how our volunteer fire department was funded. You know, you give some money to the fire department, the rest comes out of our pockets and with grants that they write. It takes time, it takes effort. They have no administrative staff to help them with any of this. They do it all on their own time, taking time away from their families, which I, as a resident, appreciate. I saw them 2 houses down from me in January at a fire. They rescued 2 adults, 2 children, 2 dogs, and 3 cats. You know, to me, as an animal lover, that is amazing. They took care to make sure that the wife, who was in the shower when the fire happened and only came out in a towel, had some kind of warm covering. You can't ask any more of your neighbor. neighbors, your community to that. I do not think that this department needs to rely on our donations solely, as well as what you generously give. I think I want to be assured that if I need someone to pick me up when I fall out of bed, or if I have a fire, or if I have a medical emergency, a heart attack, that someone will show up, that they are well-trained, they are on the job, that they don't have to come from their home to my home to rescue me. I really was appalled to find out that as a resident of the Corinth-Shiloh Fire District, to quote Blanche Dubois from A Streetcar Named Desire, I am relying on the kindness of strangers. That's not right. That's not fair. We all should contribute equally, businesses and residents alike. Thank you very much for your time and for listening.
We have no other speakers.
No other speakers. Next, we'll have our closed public hearing on ordinance 2024-13. Next, we have ordinance 2024-14. It's a public hearing on an ordinance to develop a jointly owned and operated industrial and business park in conjunction with Pickens County, South Carolina. Such industrial business park to be geographically located in Pickens County and established pursuant to section 4-1-17.
Who's paying for that?
Anybody know where that's at?
No, and who's paying for that?
Have you heard?
What's that?
The Pickens Oconee Industrial.
It's like there's like a sliver.
Well, we done been down this road before. We tried to join a Tri-County landfill development. That went all to hell. Do you remember the Tri-County landfill just on the outskirts of Clemson between Anderson, Oconee, and Pickens County? That was a disaster.
Yeah.
Of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended to provide for a written agreement with Pickens County to provide for the expenses of the park, the percentage of the revenue
If I was Pickens County, I would run.
application, and the distribution of fees in lieu of ad valorem taxes and other matters related thereto.
We have no speakers.
No speakers? Anybody? All right, close public hearing on ordinance 2024-14. Next, I have ordinance 2024-01, an ordinance to establish the budget for Oconee County, provide for the levy of taxes for ordinary county purposes, for the Tri-County Technical College Special Revenue Fund, for the Emergency Services Protection Special Revenue Fund, for the Road Maintenance Special Revenue Fund, for the Victim Services Special Revenue Fund, for the Community Health and Community Services Special Revenue Fund, for the Economic Development Capital Project Fund, for the Bridge and Culvert Capital Project Fund, for the Capital Vehicle Equipment Fund, for the Parks, Recreation, Tourism Capital Projects Fund, for the Fire Emergency Services Capital Vehicle and Equipment Fund, for the General One-Time Capital Fund, and for the Debt Services Fund, all in Oconee County for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2025.
We have no speakers.
No speakers?
That was a lot.
I close public hearing on ordinance 2024-01. Next, we have ordinance 2024-02, an ordinance to establish the budget for the school district of Oconee County and to provide for the levy of taxes for the operations of the school district of Oconee County for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30th,
One they didn't even
2025.
look at.
We have no speakers.
No speakers?
Yeah.
I close public hearing on ordinance 2024-02. Next, we have ordinance 2024-03, an ordinance to provide for the levy of taxes for the Kiwi Fire Special Tax District and to establish the budget for the Kiwi Fire Special Tax District for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2025.
We have no speakers.
No speakers. I close public hearing on ordinance 2024-03. Okay, next we have third reading on the following ordinance. First up is ordinance 2024-13. It's on your screen. I previously read it in full, but it's the is Project Cherry, Clarios LLC.
Motion.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second, any discussion? I'd like to thank Clarios for choosing Oconee County and as Mr. Gilbert says, top shelf for business. But thank.
Okay, they've been here for years. Clarios is Johnson Controls. Y'all do know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, where is this coming from? Is this a building or is this going to be the Seneca Railroad Park?
I don't know, but I'd like to know who comes up with the code names. Sorry. Project Cherry.
Have you got your phone on there, Randy?
Oh,
eavesdropper right
okay.
there.
All in favor? And I'd like to thank from Clarios, Mr. Barron and Mr. Rowland for attending.
You say
meeting
Mr.
tonight.
Rowland?
Thank you, guys.
Thought he said ruin.
Yeah. I didn't know Chris was gonna be there. I didn't know. Yeah.
Next, we have ordinance 2024-14. Previously read in full, that's establishing the industrial park in conjunction with Pickens County. It's on your screen if you'd like to read it. Have a motion, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Right now, we have second reading on the following ordinances. Ordinance 2024-01, an ordinance to establish the budget for Oconee County and provide for the levy of taxes for ordinary county purposes, for the Tri-County Technical College Special Revenue Fund, for the Emergency Services Protection Special Revenue Fund, for the Road Maintenance Special Revenue Fund, for the Victim Services Special Revenue Fund,
How many
for the Community
walnut
Health
shells
and
can you
Community
hide
Services
balls
Special
in?
Revenue Fund,
I don't know.
the Economic
That's the same
Development
question.
Capital Project Fund, for the Bridge and Culvert Capital Project Fund, for the Capital Vehicle Equipment Fund, for the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Capital Projects Fund, for the Fire Emergency
Like
Services
info,
Capital Vehicle and
you can
Equipment
slide it
Fund,
all in there.
for the General One-Time Capital Fund,
Can't ask
for the Debt and
questions.
Services Fund, all in Oconee County for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30,
I'm going to start my own
2025.
county.
He can't bedazzle them with his breathe, so he's
Have a
gonna
motion?
baptize him.
Second, any discussion?
Yes, sir,
Sounds
Mr.
about
Chairman.
right.
Here we go.
In going through the budget, I appreciate Ms. Brock spending the time to work with me and answer questions that I have on there. It's a little bit different than what we've done. And I understand everybody does stuff different. I remember, I guess it's back in 2020, had somebody come in public comment to really lambaste current council on what they were doing with the budget, growing the budget. And talk about how they couldn't go back to their boss man and ask for extra money. And I'm grateful to see that now, since that person that
Everybody in the audience right now is looking where the where that.
Why can't they turn off their microphones?
being the
That'd be
public
too
comments
easy.
on council bet that sometimes the
I bet
budget
where
is
the
going to
original
continue
kill it up.
to grow and working together to
Peppermint.
make sure that
Those
we're
things are good.
making ends meet, doing what's right for the sheriff's office, doing what's right for public safety, creates growth in the budget. And I think the most important thing that we continue to do is make sure that we're not having to increase taxes and we're making good and proper decisions moving forward. And sometimes from the outside is not exactly what it seems. So what sounds good to a group of people or a person at the time doesn't always prove to be true. So I'm grateful for the work that we've put into this budget. I think I don't love every bit a part of it, but I think overall it is a workable budget. And I hope that everybody spent the time that I know a lot of council members have spent looking through it and making sure they understand it. Because to me, we're headed into a tougher part with changes coming to this country, changes coming to the U.S. and changes coming to Oconee County that we need to be prepared for. So again, I say that not to be rude, but understanding that sometimes till you get on here, you don't understand everything that's going on. So I think we've worked together and came up with a good budget, and I plan to agree with this budget, $98,824,204.
98 million.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other comments? I think it was 2019 when I spoke, and I didn't speak on the budget increase. I spoke on the significant tax increase. And if this budget was going to lead to a tax increase, I would have the same speech today.
He can't take nothing, man. He can't take nothing.
I can pull it up if you like. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Zero.
All right, next we have
violin. I think I'm gonna learn to play the violin.
Zero charisma, man.
20,
Zero charisma.
Ordinance 2024-02. That's an ordinance to establish the budget for the school district of Oconee County and to provide for the levy of taxes for the operation of the school district of Oconee County for the fiscal year beginning July 1,
$133 million, everybody.
2025.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
But
Any
you
discussion?
get none of it.
Hearing none, all in favor?
That's nearly $240
I
million.
have ordinance 2024-03, an ordinance to provide for the levy of taxes for the Kiwi Fire Special Tax District and to establish the budget for the Kiwi Fire Special Tax District for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Next we have ordinance 2024-17, an ordinance to rezone a series of parcels specified herein from control-free district to the late residential district, 23 parcels, Kiwi Plantation, pursuant to Oconee County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Article 8.
Yeah. Before we get into let's talk about the budget that the two budgets they just proposed.
Mm-hmm.
$133 million for the school system and $98 million for the county.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you agree 78,000 people is about the average number of people we have in Oconee County right now?
I think it's higher. I think it's 80 something, a little over 80,000.
But
That's
we
my
don't-
opinion.
But what would you say, Kathy?
Yeah, the last I heard it was nearly 80.
Okay, well, 78,000 is nearly 80. But
Yeah, I mean, potato.
say there's 78,000 people in the county. $231 million divided by 78,000 people is $2,961 per person to run the county.
Mm-hmm.
$3,000 per person.
Yeah.
And they're saying
It's mind-boggling, mind-blowing, to say the least.
$3,000 a person we're paying to run Oconee County. Plus, I mean, that's $3,000 a person to run the county. And we got fire departments struggling to pay their bills.
Mm-hmm.
We got 25-minute response times for EMS. We've got,
and that's good some places.
We've got cops that don't have the right body armor and cameras, and the guns are old.
Well, what does it take to tell somebody you're not going to help them get their stuff back? I mean, that doesn't take any equipment,
But
right?
A family of five.
That's bad.
A family of five, their share of that is nearly $15,000. That's a minimum wage salary.
But yet, we took a bond for $25 million
to put a pipe on 85.
To put a pipe on 85 when the rest of the county is struggling with infrastructure, fire department, rescue, all of that. But we want to have all these special slush funds for other little projects. But when it comes right down to protecting and helping the community, we just say, F it.
That's what I hear.
That's exactly the same thing I hear is screw the county. Here's what we're going to do. The people, at the end of the day, the citizens is the one that pays the price.
Well, and let's look at this too. Why is it when somebody goes from Parks and Rec and ask for something, somebody goes from another department, they're scrutinizing all kinds of stuff in the county. But the school budget, they didn't even look at that, y'all.
It's a whole change from years past
Why?
when there was always a fight when we had county council
They didn't
members.
even look at that.
Well, we used to have county council members that they scrutinized the school district budget. And we've had World War III before because the county council wanted to cut that funds that the school district used to get. And it seems like the last 12 years, it's been an open book. The only person that I remember in the last 10 years that voted against the school district budget, Wayne McCall. Wayne McCall was the only one that questioned not only the county budget, but the school district budget.
I mean, just question it long enough to say, show me and tell me about it publicly. So everybody could see it right here.
If it was left up to me, we would go back to an elected superintendent the way it used to be.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bad idea.
Well, I was just looking here that I saw where Hart County, Georgia they had their primary, state of Georgia had their primaries tonight.
Yeah.
And that is on the ballot for Hart County. Do you want to elect a superintendent? I'm telling you, I don't think that's a bad idea.
I think all like county seats should be nonpartisan. I think, I think it does a disservice to have partisan politics in the county.
For a little homework, and I would like to have that answer. How many seats in county council in the state, how many counties is nonpartisan? I'd like to be interested to know if that is actually, if they're Republican or Democrat, if all of them are. Because we know that city council is nonpartisan.
Right.
We know that the school district is nonpartisan. So.
And to me, it seems like the municipalities seem a lot happier and to run a lot smoother that way.
Some of them. There's one or two.
I'm sure.
In Oconee that has a problem.
And they have their times, and everybody would, but it seems to take some of the fire out of and the yin out of it.
When it comes to actually getting the job done, if you focus on partisan politics and getting it done, nothing ever gets done.
Well, that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what this show shows the world, is that when we step aside from national politics and we talk about just the community and the local politics here, we can communicate, get along, and actually contribute well. Mm-hmm. But you bring in all that crazy right wing, left wing bullshit, the bird in the middle is confused.
The bird don't know which way to go.
If both wings aren't flapping in the same direction, then we're not going anywhere. So
yeah, I agree.
So moved.
Motion, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That's 5-0.
All right, we have the following, first reading of the following ordinances. This is ordinance 2024-16, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreement by, in between Oconee County, South Carolina, and a company currently identified as Project Turn, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem tax incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating or modifying a joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to designate the property of the project as part of such park and other related matters.
So moved.
Second. Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Next we have ordinance 2024-18, an ordinance amending chapter 38 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only regarding the establishment of minimum lot size and maximum lot density provisions for the control-free district and other matters related thereto.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy.
Mr. Root, would you explain in layman terms what
it's 1,000 an hour right there.
6 that Mr. Elliott wanted installed, what it actually says? I see it someplace in there, it says such and such a happen after a second reading.
Yes, sir. I will do my best. When I did this during the planning commission, I seemed to confuse more folks than I help clarify, but with most land use ordinances, the laws that y'all create, there's a doctrine called the pending ordinance doctrine. It's a common law doctrine, so it developed out of case law as opposed to a statutory requirement. But what it says is, after an ordinance receives a first reading, essentially by council, and council proposes or makes known to the public its desire to have public hearings on this particular ordinance relating to land use, council can then enforce that ordinance at that point in time. So it doesn't have to wait till the full 3 readings are had. It's a way to keep the status quo. That's why the doctrine developed during the pendency of the ordinance. So that's why you have the pending ordinance doctrine. From the last meeting, Mr. Elliott wanted to insert that in there so that pending ordinance doctrine would be in effect after second reading. So that's what this includes.
Thank you.
That allows for a public notice that the public hearing will be held before we vote the second time.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, here none, all in favor? All opposed? In favor? Five votes. Give me a second, I'm losing my place here.
He lost.
Now we're moving to first and final reading for the following resolutions. We have resolution 2024-11, a resolution providing preliminary approval pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended, for the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes.
We give the government away tonight, ain't we?
By and between Oconee County, South Carolina, the company identified for the time being as Project Turn, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies, collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem tax incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating or modifying a county industrial and business park agreement between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to establish or enlarge the park and other related matters.
So moved.
Motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, resolution 2024-12, a resolution requesting and directing that the Oconee County Board of Elections and voter registration hold the election regarding the creation of the Corner-Shiloh Special Purpose Tax District for fire protection on the same day as the 2024 general election and other matters related thereto. Have a motion?
No motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to have a second.
No second.
Second.
Don,
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion to change back to a special election on July the 30th.
Yep.
I have a motion to change to a special election on July
Yeah,
30th.
we're gonna die of lack of the vote.
We have a second for that motion.
Nope. Knew that wasn't gonna happen.
Mr. Elliott, we do not have a second.
Mr. Durham, if I could just interject, if we could get a motion just to clear up the clerical error, or the administrator, the attorney error, scrivener's error regarding the second digits on the resolution number.
Okay.
Just a motion to amend to correct the scrivener's error, changing 2412 to 2413.
Sounds like Warren Shiloh's got a lawsuit.
2413. All right, so I'll make the
That's right.
motion to
Jennifer.
change the clerical error per Mr. Root to 2024-13. Have a motion. Somebody have a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor of that amendment to the title?
Or, yes.
4 or 5.
Yes.
Who's against? Mr. Elliott, okay. So, now we're back to discussing. So Mr. Davis brought up some good points the last meeting. It's a significant tax increase. The people down there went through the effort and proper channels to get the signatures. But if you look up.
Okay, that's the key. They did something correctly. They got the petitions. The petition states to create a special election. You did it right. You did it per the laws of South Carolina. Now you got this gentleman, and I'm gonna throw Julian under the bus a little bit because he's a part of this. You got to let the citizens decide. This is not something the county council.
It has to go to the ballot.
It has to go to the ballot, and by July, it cannot be moved because it says a special election to be held.
Well, that's just what they submitted. It can be changed.
Not the law. The law's different. The law states if you get the petitions, then you have a special election, not a primary. Not during a regular general election. This is a special election that has to be, it's not supposed to be held with the general election.
Well, I want to know.
What does Moneybags over here, what does he say? Can he not weigh in on this and tell them what they have to lawfully do?
That's the law.
Well, here's the thing. I'm still not understanding exactly who is affected and who gets to vote.
Everybody that's within the Corinth Shiloh Fire District, within that boundaries.
Now, is that all within one particular voting
area?
district?
And I have a question too. Okay. The businesses that would be affected by that, how do they weigh in on this? Because they pay taxes too, don't they?
They pay taxes, but again,
they would be affected.
They would pay property taxes on this
at a 6% rate, not a 4% rate, because that's not a homestead. They pay, the businesses that actually pay more.
Mm-hmm.
So shouldn't they somehow get a say? But
no, it's the voters.
Well, not if you own a business there, but you live somewhere else, you'll have no say.
You have no say.
That kind of stinks.
No, I mean, but again, it's the citizens that are paying property taxes.
But a business pays property taxes.
Definitely pay property
but they pay a 6%, and they are not living in the county.
But as a business owner, I would be very upset about 25 million.
Okay, here's the deal. Then why don't the businesses all get together and say, okay, we'll give you X amount of dollars per year. That solves this problem. You don't have to go through this. Kevin Christianberry is the one that said that the businesses are paying nothing.
He's
right.
Not right. He's not right.
How? Let's have this conversation.
If you own a business,
right, you're only paying 6%. That's it.
Which is more than someone owns a home.
Right, but that money is not getting to them.
It goes to the county.
It goes to the county. The county is not giving that money to them.
That's right. So that's why this whole thing is wrong.
Go back in front of your microphone.
So that's why this whole thing is wrong.
And that's why it needs to be done county-wide.
Right.
That there needs to be a fire department budget for all of the counties.
Right.
That's how you solve this. Right now, these up here, these people right here could solve this in one swipe.
Absolutely.
Look, here's what we're going to do. We feel you. We understand. This is affecting everybody else in the county, not just you.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, I don't know if Kiwi Fire Department, which is Kiwi Key, I don't know if they would give up their tax district.
Mm.
But I'm saying the county needs to get off the pot. This is going to come up again.
Oh, absolutely. But as the county grows and more homes, that should be the key. That should be the key generator of revenue for these fire stations.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, $60,000 per station is what's given out. Right. Well, that's just very blanket.
$60,000 won't run a household.
Right. But here's the thing. Corinth Shiloh has way more people in it than Mountain Rest does.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mountain Rest needs $60,000, but I can guarantee that Corinth Shiloh needs double or triple that.
I think the figure that they were saying was the 942.
I think that's a very robust number.
That's a robust number.
But it should be based on the population of the area served.
But my point here is that they did by the letter of the law. Right. And I hate to see this council get involved telling them what they can do and what they can't do, because the letter of the law is clear. They got the petitions. Okay, they did what they were supposed to do. They're supposed to have a special election. That special election is supposed to occur in July.
I'm with you. There's nothing worse than elected officials not listening to their constituents.
That's my point. They got the 803 that qualified them to have this on the ballot. It's no different than a referendum. Okay. You can have a referendum at any time. If you take a vote, and I didn't know this, you can have recall elections in South Carolina. I didn't know that.
I thought you couldn't.
You can. I found that out. It's in the state election thing. You need to read it. You can have so
We
many
done been
people
lied to
of the
then.
petitions. It's in the election thing that you can have a recall election in South Carolina, but you have to have the petitions. It's the same thing they're doing to create this fire district. My point is they did the right thing. I hate to see county council get involved in it. Let the people make the decision. This is the people in that district. I know why they want to have it in July, because they're going to have their people there and it'll go through. If you put this on the general election and it says taxes down there, it's going to be no, 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 no. They tried it with the penny tax deal.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Penny tax. No, no, no. And they actually had a pretty good plan for that penny tax about 15 years ago. You know, they were going to take the penny tax and fund, build a new library, do some other things for that penny tax. It was a great deal, but I knew it wouldn't pass because it said penny tax.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, District 4, and I don't know exactly what, I know you can cross different districts, but the last District 4 general election, if you look at the special votes for Water Conservation District School Board.
Hold a minute. I got to pull Bobby Myers' comment up. Here's an idea. Sewer North, and then 26 Sewer East, and then 27 Sewer West. Oh, Bobby, you breaking me, buddy. Oh, that was so good. Oh, boy. He's not wrong.
It was about 4 years ago in general election, it was about 4,000 votes. Special election, I don't know. You'd probably be lucky to get the same number of people show up. You got a petition signed for it. So after the discussion we had last meeting, and then we had some discussion with Mr. Root during the meeting, I called Mr. Root, and he was looking into, what could we do? And per legal guidance, we can't have a special election on the same day as a general election. That gives the people in that area.
What did I just say?
I can't hear him. What did he say?
You can't have it on the same day.
Yep. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just figured that one out. I knew it.
Discussion with Mr. Root during the meeting, I called Mr. Root, and he was looking into, what could we do? And per legal guidance, we can't have a special election on the same day as a general election. That gives the people in that area ample opportunity to have a voice, to have a say. Just like the whole county, that area has haves and have-nots. The haves are going to pay a lot more, but the have-nots is probably going to hurt them a lot more when that tax bill comes. So I request a resolution to be drafted to give ample opportunity for everyone to have a voice in that election. Because July 30th, that's summer months, people with kids, people with families, their minds on anything but an election.
Again, it's not up to you, sir.
But you just look at voter turnout for the upcoming primaries, probably going to be dismal, and look at all the hard campaigning.
He thinks the primaries are going to be dismal.
Only for him.
Only for him.
He's being hopeful.
Candidates do. But this just gives, in my view, gives people more of a choice, more of an opportunity to have a say in what they do. And some discussion was brought up last meeting too about, we should probably look at what we could do, as well to call volumes. I know we have, how many we have there now? 2 full-time?
2 full-time, yes, sir.
So in the meantime, that's something we could look at as well on what the county can do to further assist if the call volume warrants that. If it warrants,
that's not going to help you a damn bit of difference. You're going to have to fund them more.
a significant tax increase like we're talking about, that's definitely something we need to look at.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I hope the 800 people remember this in the primary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I agree with him.
Yes.
You touched on it. I just want to make clear for the record that it's still a special election. It's just being held on the same day as the general election. Those terms got kind of mingled up during the comments. So.
It was still a special election held on the same day as the general election.
Supposed to be.
I think they could put it on a separate.
Any other comments?
Right?
Yeah, I got a question, it's not really a comment, and if anybody out there can answer it. How many folks reside in this so-called described fire district?
That's their
What's the population?
representative. He should know.
That's Glenn Hart.
Went to the newspaper back when the petitions were turned in, it was around 7,000.
And you got 800 signatures.
We met state law by having at least 15%.
But is that the total number of
But
signatures?
so just because you have 7,000 residents doesn't mean there's 7,000.
That's right. It's how many registered voters that you have in that district. It doesn't go by the 7,000 people. How many are registered to vote? There could be only 2,000 that are registered to vote. And I'm according to that, what I'm hearing there's more than 2,000 people registered to vote. So if it's 15%, then the 803 that you got, you would have to have at least 4,000 registered voters. Does that sound right?
You'd have to say that again.
Well, let's move on. I'll go back. I'll figure it out in a minute.
So I don't have the number in front of me, but there's, you can calculate out 600 and something to meet the 15%, 5,400 and something voters.
Yeah, I was close.
So it's less than 10, roughly 10%.
But we met 15. Well, we turned in 804. Since we turned it in, we got about 5 or 6 more, but I didn't want to turn those in because we had already turned them in. And then once I'm not sure exactly the process that the election office went through, and they ended up having 764, something like that.
760 something
And
qualified.
Yes.
Qualified
So
signature.
if you calculate that number out, it's almost like 17% that they certified.
So they did certify 17%. Okay. And that was the same thing back in 2012, where we had to get the petition candidates for the sheriff's candidates. When Singleton and Terry Wilson, Donnie Fricks, and Barty and Mike Crenshaw run, when they all got thrown off the ballot, we had the same issue. We had to do the same thing.
And I'm not sure exactly why state law says 15%. Maybe because only about 15% of the electors vote. I'm not sure. But,
All right.
But we have done our community that has asked us to do this. We have done everything that the community has asked us to do. Our community is expecting this to be a special election, so therefore it can be on this year's tax notices.
Yep.
We have worked the process to be able to have this completed by August 1st. When we met with Mr. Root a couple of years ago, talked about a schedule. I turned the petitions in January. I emphasized the schedule, trying to get this completed this year. And the election office said, hey, is there any way we can just count these until after the primaries? And we're like, we don't want to push, the county offices folks, right? And so, we've been very cordial and working with everyone. We've been working with Kevin Robinson on getting our current assessment rates, and that's sort of where we are. And if you guys pass this and put it on the election in November, there's going to be a lot of work that we're going to have to do to fundraise money, because our intent was to not fundraise money this year, so it'd be on the tax bill, so that way we're not double dipping, sort of say, because then someone would be donating plus paying it in their taxes.
I hope that everybody in District 4 is taking notice of this. And let me point this out. John Elliott is taking up for this area. Their own representative has said not one damn thing.
But
Get back the microphone.
But that's District 5, not District 4.
No, that is District 5. That's
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
you said
saying. I'm
District
sorry.
4.
I'm sorry. District 5. I'm sorry. Glenn Hart ain't saying a word about it. But you got Don Mize, who is actually asking a semi-decent question. And he's not, and that's not even his district.
And Elliott's fighting for
Elliott's fighting for him.
Yep.
Now that ought to show you who's fighting for what. That's sad that you've got
Elliott's
Elliott,
always engaged.
Elliott's engaged.
He's always engaged.
But tonight I'll give kudos to Don because he actually asked a good question.
Yeah.
So then, if you vote in November, it'll be next year. Before it gets put on the tax roll.
That's right.
So we're gonna have to fundraise money to get us all the way through December of 2025.
Let the people decide.
How much, you said last time, I can't remember, how much do y'all fundraise a year?
Last year, and so basically we operate a year in advance because we have a building loan, and our building mortgage requires us to have a year's worth of payments in the bank a year in advance, just in case there's an emergency. And so the money we fundraised this year, basically we operated off of last year. And so therefore, we're currently operating off of the funds we fundraised in 2023.
How much is that?
And so I did a calculation for our last community meeting in September, or excuse me, our last community meeting on Saturday. I did the calculations, and we fundraised a little over $90,000 last year.
Yep. I agree.
So we know what's fixing to happen.
We know what's about to happen. So President Reagan said something like this: the most dreaded words a person can hear. We are here from the government, and we're here to help. Torrance Shiloh just got a dose of that.
Let's watch them get it.
Yeah, it's coming.
Well, we don't want to be perceived as kicking this can down the road.
He's watching the show.
He has to be watching. He has to be watching.
I want to see it happen. But I also echo what Mr. Davis talked about last meeting about a significant tax increase on a lot of folks on their property.
Well, maybe they could do something.
So what kind of turnout have you had at your sessions that you held?
Low income
So
folks
we've
a
had
break.
about anywhere from 20 to 30 people at our 3 community meetings we had last week. And at the end of every meeting, some people stay behind to ask questions. And at the last 2 meetings, I've spoken with people over an hour, and both of them who were concerned about the amount of tax that they would be paying on their home that's, probably $500 or more, wouldn't you say, Danny? When they walked out of the room, they said, "You changed our mind, and we support this." And those are folks that's going to be paying $500+.
Because they don't want their house burned down.
I actually had a meeting with a couple of folks who were against signing the petition. And I met them down at the fire station and spent probably 2 or 3 hours with them. And before they left, they signed a petition, and both of them are going to pay over $1,000 just because they live on the lake.
So that's not who worries me the most. What worries me the most is the widow lady who's living on Social Security and her tax bill goes up $50. She got to decide between this and that month. And I don't disagree with what y'all want to do, but 30 people turning out is nothing compared to the people it's going to affect in that district. And I want to give them time to all have a say. Most people don't pay attention. They go on with their daily lives. They try to live, put food on the table. They let people like us to represent their interests, and I want to represent them, give them.
First of all, I go back.
He's against wasteful spending.
He's against this, but the problem is they did it legally. They did everything by the book.
He's against wasteful spending.
Yeah.
In the community.
Yep.
And at Shiloh Corners Fire Department.
Yeah.
To gather all this information and come out in the general election and have a say in it.
And if I may, I think we've given them ample time, but just to kind of give an update to council, and you may or may not be aware, there's 6 very big fire departments that are in there. You have Seneca, Walhalla, Westminster, Kiwi Ebenezer, Kiwi Key, and Torrance Shiloh. All those departments run a numerous amount of calls. The only thing we haven't not in common with them is they have $1 million budgets and we get $60,000 from you to run our station. You're doing an injustice to the taxpayers in our district. The people of our area deserve a good service, and you guys are only giving us $60,000 to do that.
Yep.
If I pull up, last night I was at the station, I pulled up the budget for Westminster and Walhalla, and you have fire contracts with those stations. You give them $550,000 a year for Westminster. Westminster's call volume in 2023, city calls 256, county calls 361. Total calls for the whole department is 617.
Listen to this.
Their budget in 2023 was $605,000. Their budget in 2024, thanks to the $550,000 from the county, is $1,099,000. Our fire department runs almost 900 calls a year. This is for the city and the county, and y'all give them $550,000.
I think Danny DelMarco just put it right square where the problem lies.
We don't need a special tax district. We need the county
to step up and give
what
them
it's supposed
the fund.
to do.
Right. So the city of Seneca, they get from the county, they get the $980-something $1,000. Walhalla just got their piece of the pie.
So
you
it's
got
crappy budgeting.
You got the crappy.
But it's poor foresight.
It's poor foresight because Corinth Shiloh's district is only going to grow, particularly if you get the new student condominiums coming. You've already got all the businesses down there at Hartwell Village. Everything's moving back up this way, and they got more commercial properties than Westminster City.
I agree. I think they went about this whole thing incorrectly. They should have started with these sister cities get these fire contracts. However, our station in the county, this station out in the county has more calls for service than the municipalities that the county's paying $500,000 to.
I agree.
You should, and like I said earlier, it should be call volume and the amount of people that the area serves, because the potential call volume is there. You know, if there's a person there.
Hey, is Fair Play going to get this more money when they get them $60 million office complexes down there and plants?
They'll have to.
So it's something to think about as county council when you go home tonight. All the growth in our area, all that tax revenue that's coming from our area, you're taking it from that area and distributing it elsewhere.
Yeah,
and that's not
absolutely.
fair. I think you really need to look at that and think about what you need to do for the citizens that are there. I mean, $1,099,000 in Westminster, and that's coming from a city tax and the county tax.
Yep.
And we run more calls than they do. Matter of fact, we're in the top 4 of call volume on all those departments I mentioned. And again, the only difference between them and us is we don't get except $60,000 from the county. And when I say we get $60,000 from the county, there's strings attached. If we don't write reports for those 800, 900 calls, we don't get that check. So if I don't stay up all night, we don't get that money.
Do y'all have living quarters in your firehouse?
We do. And then I know we have one thing we call one county, one mission, okay? We do have 2 paid members from the county that are there. Do you think they would help us out on any administrative tasks that we do? Do you think they would help us out on those calls that are tied to that funds that you give us? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing they do is they grab a fire truck and they go out, and then we come behind them. So I leave my job for the past 33 years trying to help the citizens of Oconee County. And when I hear and I look at the trucks and says one county, one mission, I think we're not on the mission. And I don't know where the mission is, but somehow we're missing that.
What is the operating cost for the new Boundary Land Station annual?
Just operational or staff included?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Staff included is about $349,000 per year right now. We'll eventually have to add staff because of the call volume there. And then general utilities and operational is about $125,000.
So we really should look at it's expanding down to there versus a special tax, because it works for certain areas, but that's a significant increase. Like my area, like Mountain West, we couldn't afford a special tax district.
Now, I would be in agreement, like if we could get the same, if we're running the same amount of calls that Westminster and Walhalla are doing, and then even you guys provide $300,000 to Salem, we don't get that. If we had that chunk of money, we could be here today with you guys saying we need a 10 mil tax district, because see, those municipalities have a city tax and they get money from that revenue. So we wouldn't have to put a higher tax on our residents because the county would be contributing to that. When you look at Lakeside Lodge, you're looking at $40-60 million in actual value. Neary, $60-70 million there. Signature condos that are right down there, another $40-50 million revenue. Longhorn Steakhouse, Michael's. Look at all that development and growth, and you expect us as volunteers to wake up and do 900 calls a year? We're tired.
Why are you expecting us to do even more? We have no more to give, sir.
Well,
we don't.
So I'm opposed to having a choice, right?
They have a choice. They have a choice.
And I think we need to look at the county maybe taking over that area as well.
It's not. We have a contract with the county just like the other districts do. So taking over the area it's not really something that it has to be looked at it from a legal matter. But there is a contract for service that we provide. But the only thing, again, that we have different is y'all don't want to give us any more money.
I think they need to get an attorney and be ready.
All right, I think that this county council, these conservative members,
right now
are going to cause more damage to the county than any other group ever has.
Bingo. Look at what you're seeing fold right before you.
Yep.
Your problem is right there in the middle right now. He is the problem along with that damn OCC.
Yep. All right,
What
let's
are
let
the
this play
first
out.
three
But
letters
you don't
of the
mind
word
giving it to
conservative?
Westminster,
Oh.
not to call them out, because I think they're deserving of their funds. But again, we're running more calls than any of these departments, except you
Give our
think us to
people
do
the
it.
opportunity to decide, not you, sir. Allow our community to decide. That's what they want.
Well, I
Whether it's
agree with
twin
that.
fit or whatever. So do it.
I'm
Just
not gonna sit
do
here and
it.
argue with you, but
Yeah, you
I don't
are.
want 10% of
You just
people
open your mouth.
deciding. I like to give the general electorate an opportunity.
But that's the problem. The general public.
No, this is great.
This is fantastic.
This is great.
And then so, if this doesn't
But
happen,
listen, this
our
is
choices
great.
are fundraise.
Just made
Do I have
sure
time to
Tony
take away from my
wins.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
4-year-old baby, or do I need to go to the heart attack call? Do I have time to do both? Does the manpower that's there enough to handle the helicopter transport, even though there's 2 people in a helicopter call? I can't answer that question, but Bounty Land spent a significant amount of money. Now, they could come from the Bounty Land station, they could come from Westminster, they could come from Seneca, but I think you're doing a disservice to our community for not funding it properly.
Right.
Mr. Durham, as a resident and
Hey,
a registered.
listen, we need order here.
Okay,
So,
okay,
Oh, his feelings are
You
hurt.
asked about sleeping quarters, so I want to answer that.
The order.
So, when we renovated the fire station, I had a quote to install a sprinkler system, and we only had we only had a limited amount of funds, and so I had to cut something. So I cut the sprinkler system out of the project because I knew that at some point in time we could get some more funds to retrofit sprinklers. Well, when I did that, your county fire chief at the time went to my supervisor, and we ended up having to write a letter saying that no one would sleep down at the fire station until a sprinkler system is installed. So we took it upon ourselves to write a grant. We got a grant, write specs, work through another renovation to get a sprinkler system down there. Work that we did to now allow sleeping quarters down there, which the county is sleeping down there now. And so, look, you would not even be allowed down there if it wasn't for us writing the grant to get the sprinkler system. And we worked really, really hard. Danny got 30-plus years. I got 27 years. Tim's got 11 years.
Sounds to
And
me
we
like them
do a
volunteers
tremendous
need to
amount of
walk.
service for the community. We
Just stop
went out and bought our own fire trucks. We did.
If they walk, then the community hurts. And that's not in these people right here. They want to do what's right. But they've created something tonight that they may get credit because it is showing the true side.
That's going to be your hit piece tomorrow.
That's your hit piece right there. That is the hit piece of the year right there. We were talking about off the air about the bombshell stuff. Well, we've already hit this. I'm telling you, this just showed what kind of person Matt Durham actually is.
Absolutely.
This showed.
Absolutely.
And if you people up in District 2 vote for this, you deserve everything you get. If you people in District 5 vote for Sleepy Glen, you deserve everything you get. Because this is in his district. He should have the testicular fortitude to stand up for his fire department that's in his district. But no, he just sits there. You had to have Don Mize ask the question.
Hey, listen, Saturday we had an open house at the Mountain Rest Fire Department from 11 to 3. I was there for the whole time. And Matt Durham didn't even show up.
Do you expect him to show up?
Guess who did?
Who?
India Lancaster showed up.
Well, she cares.
She does.
There's
care.
a big difference. He
She
don't
doesn't
care. It's power. This is power for him.
She lives twice as far away from the fire
and
station
she
as he
came
does.
to represent herself.
And she came.
Right. There's a difference.
To show support for the fire department. She even brought a cherry pie. And I watched her and her husband put money in our donation bucket because we've got a firefighter who has spent over 40 years in the fire department that's fallen under some hard times and needs some help. So we put a boot out.
Was he there? Hell no.
No, he wasn't there at all. But we're trying to take care of our own. We don't get but $60,000 a year either. And we've got volunteers that have given 40 years of service to their community that's having trouble, and we can't get the county councilman to come out.
What does that tell you?
It tells me
You
everything
know,
I need.
renovation, everything, and so to better the service. And so now our next step is to better the service again by letting the voters decide if they want to tax themselves. And
one thing, I just had a listener send me this, a comment. I guarantee you this stuff right here won't be in the newspaper tomorrow.
And we need to do this before August 1st to let them either vote yes or vote no. If it's a vote yes, then they'll be on this year's tax notices. If it's a vote no, then then that gives us 4 months to regroup, to do fundraising, or whatever else we need to do to be able to finish out the year and have money towards next year.
They won't be able to raise that money in 4 months. It takes a long time to do the fundraiser.
Here's the thing. Just let it fold. Then it's the county's problem.
Yeah.
If we wait till November,
And then the
that
county
gives
will
us a
have to
month.
buy the building
That's
from
not
the
enough
mortgage company.
Yes.
And
I
guess
think
what?
it should
They're
also be
still
looked at
funding
as
it.
we've raised over 1.9
volunteers
million
in
in
there.
grant
Yeah,
dollars.
but when
That's
somebody
from
passes
volunteer
away,
hours doing
then
that.
there's going to be a lawsuit,
Interesting
and that's still not going to bring the person back, is it?
fact on that is, I don't know if we're aware, but if we use our county.
What this tonight has exposed is what we've been knowing all these years, that the fire service is woefully underfunded in the rural areas. And I know that Corinth Shiloh at one time was considered a rural area, but I'm telling you, that area is urban. You've got all of those commercial businesses. You've got the plants. You've got things building on 123. You've got student housing. You've got more construction. You've also got the $1 million homes over there at Stillwater and Bay Shore community. That area has exploded with growth. What happened here is the county, well, we're just going to give you $60,000. Y'all be good enough. Take care of that.
Well, it's just piss poor planning on the part of the administration. The county administrator should be looking at these areas and what's growing.
It goes to the fire. It goes to the fire chief. He's responsible.
But here again, the county administrator should be working with the planning commission and the fire chief to say, hey, we've got this hot spot area that needs special attention. These people that are standing there at that podium have been to the fire chief ad nauseum, whether it was the one before Mike Smith or Mike Smith. They've been there. They've been telling him, and he's like, hey, look, the only way we see around this county council is a special fire district.
Mm-hmm.
And the county council, I'm sure, is the problem, and you see it right now.
County allotted $15,000 to buy something on that, then that technically could come under county equipment. So we have to use our fundraising dollars from our community. So we got a $500,000 fire truck. If we used your county money that we get on slot, the county could come and take that from us if they feel like it. We have to get the community to fund that 5% match. And you would think the county or county council or somebody would come in and say, wow, you just gave us free $500,000. I'll write you a check for 25 today. But that's not the case.
May I ask a question?
Probably not.
Thank you. Is it equitable for businesses like the Longhorn Steakhouse, Hartwell Village, Bojangles, 7-Eleven, all of the businesses that are in our tax district? Some may donate money to the Corinth Shiloh Fire Department out of the
Greenfield
goodness of their
Industry.
hearts.
Yes.
But it's not what they would be giving for operational costs if they were paying tax. And I understand, no one wants to impose a new tax, but you don't get something for nothing these days.
But you do if you're a
That
business.
is what is happening now. And is it fair to me?
Well, you could do a tax assessment for fire on construction, on commercial buildings.
You got Food Lion. You've got that whole complex right there.
You could
Let's talk
create-
about this. Fire service in the county struggling anyway. If you take a look at the calls that have happened this year, how many people have perished in fires because we didn't get there in time? It's at least 3.
We've had one down here.
It's at least, it may be more.
Seneca's has the highest call
In
volume.
2024 or in the last 12 months?
But here, Roger Norwood said, unfortunately, it took the deputy getting shot for him to rise up. So we are waiting on a big fire in order to fund fire. But how big does the fucking fire have to be?
We have to be reactive. We can't be proactive.
But at least 4 people have died in house fires.
There's those
because
two
we
little boys passed away.
Because we haven't been able to get there in time. 4 people have died in our county.
Was just up in
and I just have to say something. And people, people may, burn something in my front yard over this too. It still kind of nauseates me how people donate. I don't think we should have to depend on donations. This fire department shouldn't have to depend on donations because those 2 little boys passed away in that fire. And that makes me sick. People did not donate to that cause.
Those people,
but
those
they
boys,
have donated to this officer, and God love him. I do not wish what happened was horrible, but people donated to them gangbusters. They came out, businesses, individuals, over and over and over again. Those people lost their 2 children and nobody showed up for them.
Liz,
I mean,
Kathy, you're absolutely right.
You're right.
3 people.
You're right.
3
Kathy.
people, 2 little boys and an elderly lady that I know of died in District 2 this year. 3 people in his district now. But and now you've got firefighters that have been close, but not close enough. You've got dispatchers that's had to listen to somebody die on the phone. You've got all of this traumatic stuff going on, yet it's not enough for them to just say, whatever the fire service in Oconee County needs, that's what we're going to do.
I have to ask this question to both of you, and this is very serious. At what point, how much does a human life cost in this county? At what point are we going to sit here and continue to have this conversation at what is a human life worth?
Well,
because right now we're sitting here having this conversation about, oh, it's going to be $200 more, $500 more on taxes. When you need the fire department, you need them. And you want to believe and understand that the fire department is there. I'm blessed because I'm less than half a mile from the Seneca Fire Department from my home. I'm blessed. But what about the people that do live in Corinth Shiloh? What about the people that live in Mountain Rest? What about the people in Long Creek, Fairplay, Oakway, Holly Springs, Salem, all of these fire departments? Oconee is not rural anymore.
No,
Oconee has grown. It's grown. It's getting bigger, and it's getting bigger. And until we get people off the council that sits up there and wants to have this argument that we need more people to talk about this, they did the right things.
When's the last time a county council person came to a chief's meeting and listened to what the county fire chiefs had to say? We've got a fire commission that meets. And they come and I think that some of the greatest things ever. If you watch the fire commission meetings, they have these knockdown dragouts about the budgets, and they ask and they beg and they plead for
and
stuff,
they get nothing.
And they get nothing. But right here, right now, I think that Corinth Shiloh is going to be the fire station that changes fire service in the county.
They have to. We have to. We cannot continue thinking like we thought.
It was great.
In the 60s.
It was great 12 years ago when whoever it was came up with the idea, let's build all these stations, all these different places, and get our insurance to go down because we meet whatever certification. That was great. All right. But the insurance company said we need them things there because there's enough people there to warrant them being there. Now, an empty building that's not got any insulation, that doesn't have a generator, that doesn't have, that it is absolutely inoperable in the worst conditions, does nothing and does no good. The county owes the citizenry the proper equipment and the personnel to be there in their time of need.
The county and to answer your question about what is a life worth, evidently in this county, it depends on who you are.
Apparently so. I'm glad
It,
that's
it depends
exactly
on what
it.
kind of home you live in
And
and who you are
the
and who
area-
you know.
That's right, in the area you live in.
You know, they can say no to fire safety in Corner Shiloh, but they have no problem spending money sending deputies and investigators after me. You know, that guy had to drive from Walhalla to Mountain Rest to come and visit me on Friday.
On a sign,
And it's not the first
that was
time.
illegally placed on someone else's property.
So this Nazi Hitler bootlegged Gestapo crime organization that the OCC is running through the sheriff's department.
They're doing it.
Is okay, and it will spend as much money over there as we want to, because Mr. Durham ran his mouth 2 years ago when the police the sheriff asked for bulletproof windows. He said it's just not worth it. And then a deputy gets shot. The guy didn't even die. Thank goodness. Hallelujah. He didn't die, and he's coming back. But 3 people in Mr. Durham's district has died because of inadequate resources in the fire department.
Yeah, I know we're running behind tonight, but
As a Oconee
this is a good
County
conversation.
taxpayer, that Bojangles across the street is not giving money to support fire protection, medical services. Because if somebody has a heart attack in Bojangles, these guys are going to respond. You know?
So we're not voting it down. We're voting to give it opportunity for more people to have a say.
I get that,
That's busy
but it
living their
will get
lives
lost
right now.
in the noise of the general election.
Yep.
That is the
Exactly right.
problem.
That's exactly right.
That the general election, there are so many things to consider. First, the President of the United States. Second, school boards, county council, it all gets lost. And just like Tim said earlier, you see the word tax, automatically somebody just says, oh, hell no, I'm not paying a tax. You're taxing me. My husband and I ran the numbers today as to what this would cost us. We own 2 homes, one which is our primary domicile, the other which is a rental. So we get taxed at 6% on that. We also own 2 vehicles. For us, yes, it would be about a $600 a year increase. Right now, we only give them $200, but am I willing to do the extra $400? Hell yes, I am, because I know they're going to show up when I need them. When we were at the meeting on Saturday,
We're back live.
we got an example
Thanks
of
for
what
being-
it means to have a crossover call. They got a call during the meeting that was a motor vehicle accident that they had to respond to. After that, about 5 minutes later, they got a call that was a lift assist. Now, you don't think that that's something a fire department does as a general rule. You think about fires, you think about EMS. But a lift assist, somebody falls out of bed, they can't get up, they have an older person who can't help them get up. Oh yes, that is a necessary function and something that I am willing to pay for. Some people will not be able to afford the increase, but they're not going to be able to afford falling out of bed and not having anybody pick them up, or having a heart attack somewhere and not being.
How many times at Mountain Rest have y'all been called for patient assist from EMS?
Oh, lift assist?
Lift assist.
Oh, that's the crux of most of our calls.
Of Mountain Rest of picking up patients that have fallen.
Right.
Or, right, okay. Just
Getting medical care, or losing their home, their possessions, or a loved one's life.
Next question. AEDs stocked on the rescue trucks?
We have adequate AEDs and things like that. But you know what? She's right. It's a necessary service to go out there and pick those folks up. And there is not one of us running calls up there that will not stop what we're doing to come pick you up out of the floor
and help you.
Need it. Yeah.
And we feel we've done a good job educating the community. We meet one-on-one, we meet in groups. So the fact that we need to wait until the general election, I think we need to have this vote to realize where we are, then we need to make some real hard decisions as a department, and I think you need to make some hard decisions as a county on where we and what we need to do. Because it's not fair that you're given this huge chunks of money to these other areas, and we're as big, if not bigger, than what they're doing.
Let me tell you a quick story that happened about 15, 20 years ago. There was an issue about the budget many years ago. This goes back predating before it was even, we had rural fire control and we had Oconee Emergency Preparedness at the time, before it was a combined office. So this same issue came up about budgets, and rest of the volunteers they were mad. So you know what they done? They took all the fire trucks, drove it to the old law enforcement center, command center, left them in the parking lot, and they sit up there for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That happened, and that got some movement. And I'll tell you what, that may happen again.
Yeah, it sounds like they're getting divorced.
The volunteers need to stand up and say, take all those trucks up to the county, park them right there in front of South Pine Street this time. Park them right there in the front. Get out and walk. Let Amanda Brock drive the fire truck. I want to see that. I mean, I want to see. I want to see Matt Durham. Woo, wee, woo, wee, woo. I want to see him in a fire truck.
What I want to see is Mr. Durham take the time to take the training to know what it takes to be certified to be a volunteer firefighter.
Put him in the smokehouse one time.
No, let him take the entire training.
Yeah.
The hundreds of hours.
Well, he's certified law enforcement now. Apparently, he puts on a shirt, sheds sheriff, and rides in a cop car.
There are 15 full-time people at these other stations, most of them, and maybe more of that staff. We're doing more work than they are, and we're not even compensated for that. I volunteer, so I don't care, but I'm talking from the community. There should be paid people there, professionals there, and y'all are missing the opportunity, and it's not right.
As I see it, your job as county council is to give us what we need. This is what we need, full-time
We would think
fire
that too, but
and medical protection.
instead we got a pipe.
That's all we're asking for is what we are due.
It'll
Don't
come
let
out
it
of
get
sewer side.
lost in the noise of the general election. Please don't. That's not in the best interest of our district.
It's not.
Thank you all for advocating. So I still stand on my position to give more
course you
voters an
do.
opportunity to vote.
Of course
in
you
the
do.
meantime, if we pass this resolution, I'd like to request that Mr. Mize on the next Fire and Emergency Services Committee meeting, we put this on the agenda and discuss what the county can do for the area.
Kick that daggum tequila bottle down the road, Rennie.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, but remember what you do for one fire department, buddy, you got to do for all of them.
One of the concerns, I kind of brought forth, talking about taxes, I haven't seen the budget. Did you send the budget in? What y'all plan to spend the money on? I know we don't approve your budget, but we're going to there.
I didn't send a budget into you guys. Wasn't sure if it was requested, but we did present the budget to our community in our community meetings. And really the biggest concern from some of the folks that pay probably more than $500, they don't want to pay.
Didn't the guy from their
They like
district
to see a
have
cap
attended that?
around $500.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure that's legal in state law, and that's not the way our petition was written. And that's really their concern. But again, before they left the meeting, they were in favor.
I can't believe
And they
public
told us that
comment.
they would vote
They
yes.
ever lasted this long?
When we had the election.
Well, they haven't lasted this long because he doesn't know how to effectively run a meeting.
I don't think this is a public comment section now. This has gone into a public hearing on this.
Move forward, we've talked about fire since day one I got on council, what we're doing. And, the volunteers, lack of volunteers, and where we're headed as a county, period.
Are you looking at him just staring into oblivion?
I can't see you doing fine.
I mean, he's just sitting there, just staring, rocking back and forth.
One of the concerns.
You see it,
First
Randy?
off, I appreciate the volunteer service, especially those that are here tonight talking. But if, no matter when the election is, no matter if it's in 3 days or if it's in July, like what's proposed, and I'm gonna vote no on that resolution there. Obviously I voted no no against sending it as a vote anyway. But if you feel like in a general people will vote no, then we gotta do a better job of talking about where we're headed as fire in this county and what we're gonna do to fund it for everything. We have, all across this county, I serve on a lot of state boards as well. We have, I think it's 90, Mr. Brock, correct me, I think it's 95 or 96% of homes are within 5 miles of a fire department. It was 90, I think it was like 80 something now, it's like 90. And that's huge savings when it gets down to insurance. My house alone was a protection class 8 when I first got on, and I'm, 4 now, which is as low as you can go. So I think what Corinne Shiloh was bringing up is concerns we're headed toward as council, not just our councils, but councils for us, have to look at how fire departments are gonna be funding, how is staffing gonna be done? And it's hard for me to see that the best way to fund a fire department is with a tax of $500 or $600, as mentioned there, to somebody that has a $100,000 house plus 2 cars, is another $100, $200. The problem I have is no matter who votes, 7%, I think it's an average of 7% vote in a special election, 13 to 14% are voting in June, and then the general election is 20 something, 25, 26%, somewhere around there. So that high? 50. So 50% vote in the general election. So, you think about the numbers of people coming out and vote, but everybody pays it. That's the concern. And when everybody gets their tax bill in the mail, they're not going up the street to them, they're coming in here to us. Just remember that. So when it comes down to
given this huge chunk
Well, sorry.
Convince a few people to show up, equals $350,000.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Did I?
Plus 2 cars.
Here we go. I'm sorry.
Is another $100, $200. The problem I have is no matter who votes, 7%, I think it's an average of 7% vote in a special election, 13 to 14% are voting in June, and then the general election is 20 something, 25, 26%, somewhere around there. So that high?
There's people that were at the meeting trying to watch the show.
50% vote in the general election. So, you think about the numbers of people coming out and vote, but everybody pays it. That's the concern. And when everybody gets their tax bill in the mail, they're not going up the street to them, they're coming in here to us. Just remember that. So when it comes down to trying to figure out how to educate people on any kind of, we're not the ones putting the tax on, but we'll be the ones that are asked the question. So, that's my concern. If you felt like they're gonna vote no in the general, well, is that the general consensus of the area? And so I don't want, can't live on donations, that was said, and I understand that. It's extremely difficult to not live on donations, so, Mr. Chairman, I challenge us to really think through the future.
It'll happen with this council.
Fire departments and volunteers, and who's gonna build the next fire department. We're having discussions about that now. We had Bounty Land for a purpose. So, these things cost a lot of money. Public safety is 68% of our budget, maybe more than that now.
Yes, sir.
So
How that?
it's the majority of our budget is public safety. So I think we need to, really think about that, because this tax is on cars, campers, boats, and businesses. You see across the, and I'm talking about putting a tax in before somebody jumps on me. There's been penny sales tax for roads, there's been penny sales tax for public safety, to try to make sure that one district is not slammed with a extremely high tax. It's one thing when, the Kiwi area was growing and they knew that if they didn't have the special fire tax district, they weren't gonna have the growth in the subdivision. So that was a big reason, Kiwi Key came on board. So I just think that the council really has to think about that moving forward. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see a meeting sometime later part of the year to where we really sit down and discuss the future of fire funding in this county.
Yeah. No, they
Thank you,
won't.
Ms. Davis. I think that meeting's a great idea. Any other comments?
I'm appalled.
Well, the question comes up,
Check your time.
what are we gonna do with this resolution? Are we gonna carry it forward? We're gonna vote?
I'm still in favor of holding the general election where more of the electors will have a voice. I know it's easier to go out and campaign and convince a few people to show up, but I like to make sure everybody has a voice.
Well, the one thing about with our county council, Congress, and all that stuff, people will be at the voting polls. It will give them the ability to talk about a special election. Again, I'm against the special tax district just because of the amount of taxes. But just for that sake, it would give them the ability while people are coming to the polls, and this will be a good turnout. This turnout for this special election, especially with Congress, the county council districts and everything like this, will be a good turnout. So it will be a good opportunity, and there probably won't be a better opportunity to get people in front of it. I think there are gonna be 2 runoffs. That will probably be 2 weeks after the general election. Would that be correct? So would that still, what would that time frame be?
It's the end of June.
So end of June, so you would have the, there you go with runoff. So my thought process is, if this is what people want, I think you've got the right opportunity to really see what's out there.
And
You got people coming to the polls more than probably is ever's gonna come. I know they're gonna come in November,
I think it'll be.
but I'm just saying,
I do too.
This date's July 30th. That's after a primary.
that's what I'm saying. I know it doesn't, but what I'm saying is it gives them the ability to campaign during that time, so.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
3-2.
Opposed?
3-2. We knew that one.
Discussion regarding action items. Council consideration of approval of conservation easement funding from Oconee County Conservation Bank, the amount of $35,000 for the Fall Creek Headwaters property. Applicant's name, Upstate Forever. Recommended award, $35,000. Parcel name, Fall Creek Headwaters, acres 108.25 acres, and it's located at 286 Red Mountain Road, Mountain Rest, South Carolina 29664. It's tax maps 102-00-01-013, slide in 102-00-01-005.
We're going to go ahead. That's about it.
102-00-01-029.
They go into executive session. We're going to go ahead and end that there. Well, it's been a interesting night, say the least.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We've seen a whole bunch of stuff tonight. And by the way, this is the longest show. We broke a record with the longest 3-hour show we've ever done. News and notes, a couple of things we want to talk about real quickly. Do you want to make a comment about what you talked about at the county council meeting earlier?
Yeah. The biggest thing is the county is fixed to spend millions of dollars defending a bad decision to fund Sewer South with the general obligation bond. But we've got the OCC who have the conservative majority on the council, and the council has chosen a very, very woke corporation to give our money to. Now, they have, for some reason, and a lot of folks would be okay and happy with them, they're backing off of their values and supporting things that aren't in the OCC doctrine. But they use that and they beat that into our faces for months, years now, about we're conservative and this is what we do. This is everything else is bad. But then when the rubber hits the road, they go with this company that's got offices all over the country. Like I said, some of the cohorts from my MBA studies, I reached out to them and I was like, "Do you know who these people are?" And they're like, "Yeah, they're the most expensive game in town." So why? I've been through divorce a couple of times, and sometimes when you get ready to give up that relationship, you try to spend everything in the bank so you don't have to split anything. Now, I just wonder, is that what Mr. Durham is doing? Is just trying to spend all the county's money in these weird places because he knows he's not got a chance in the heck against Miss Lancaster?
What I was wondering is why, if the whole problem is that they didn't consider what the constituents thought in the first place, and that's why there's a lawsuit, that they would go again and do something without taking the citizens into consideration.
And then when they have citizens that bring consideration to the table, they dismiss that tonight.
Yeah, when they have somebody come and say, "Hey guys, you did it again. You didn't ask anybody. Why is that? It's not against the law for you to bring this before the people and take our thoughts into this decision." Then they don't even acknowledge the question.
When someone does something that they're given the ample right by the Constitution and by law, and they do something that is afforded them that opportunity, and they do it by the book, and they petition their council or whatever, then the council should say, okay, you did this. You should listen to what the constituents did. What I heard tonight is dismissing of everything. We're going to do it our way, and we don't give a damn what you feel, think, or want. No. They were the ones that went out and they got 800 plus votes by law to have a special election. The special election should be held in July. That's afforded to them by the law. That's what the law states. But they went completely against that. We heard David Root tonight even say that. I want that clear. David Root said that. They were the ones that planned this in January. They did exactly what they were supposed to. And it's those people down there. And just remember, your elected representative, Glenn Hart, he said absolutely nothing. But yet he was down there just a couple months ago shaking hands and kissing babies and begging for votes. Mm-hmm. It's only using these fire departments when you need them for votes. That's why when we have an election coming up.
If your kitchen's on fire.
Well, I'm not even sure now if the kitchen's on fire, it could burn down for what they showed that tonight. They don't give a damn. I mean, if I was chairman,
but what you saw there, there's 4 people standing at that podium. Every one of them were over 50 years old.
At the podium?
Yeah.
No.
Who wasn't?
Kevin Christenberry was not, and Danny Del Marco is not.
So they're over 40.
They're definitely over 40.
They're my age. They're 48.
Right. So
Kevin's 47.
So 2 years away from being 50 years old. Those are the volunteers you have that are leaving work and coming to support the community. Young people aren't going to do these jobs without being paid. They're just not going to do it.
Just not going to do it. You're right.
Well, and you just think about it too. I mean, with the economy the way it is, with times the way they are, not everyone, and this is one of the problems with the government that we have going on right now. And I don't want to, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole for a second, but with people who are making 6 figures, which is not representative of the average constituent, they don't get the fact that you work all day. Sometimes people are working 2 and 3 jobs because they have to have side gigs to make it. They don't have time if they're in their 20s and 30s and they're raising a family. They can barely get to ball games and this and that kind of thing. they don't have time to volunteer. So somebody's going to have to do something, because this younger generation in this economy, and God help them if they have student loans that they're having to try to pay, and car payments. I mean, car payment now,
my God, groceries
go up every week. I mean, they're going to have to get real. And somebody who works out at Duke Energy making six figures and is living on gifted land and their house is paid for has no clue what the average constituent that they won't even condescend to speak to or respond to when they come and make, these things. Did they even say anything back to Miss Smith? No. They don't even, they're clueless. They're out of touch and they're clueless. I mean, so what are you going to do?
It's adamantly apparent tonight, and we've been preaching and harping on this for over 2+ years now, that this group, along with their leader, is absolutely clueless. But it's all about power.
And this right here tonight they will try to overshadow with a picture of Perry Smith's ass crack and a gun at Pub Blue and a concerned citizen, Miss Lancaster, bringing it up to law enforcement that this dangerous person is bringing a gun into a bar. We all know he has zero emotional intelligence. So they're going to overshadow this with that, and they're going to be mad about me drinking water out of a tequila bottle on Sunday,
or a Diet Pepsi on a Tuesday.
So these are the bona fide idiots that should be in a freak show at a circus that are ruining our county.
I definitely wouldn't pay to go see them in the tent. They're not worth it.
But the clowns are running the circus.
By the way, next show, can you bring me some sour grapes, please?
Oh man, I'd love to.
I had some grapes at the house.
I need some sour. I need some sour
grapes.
This
people who have orchards and or vineyards or
I
whatever.
forgot.
You forgot. He should have his own grapes, right?
Yeah, but they shouldn't be sour.
Got any grapes?
But the county gets exactly what it deserves in these elections, and if people vote the OCC back in, this is what we deserve. We did not do our part in ferreting them out of our leadership positions. We as a county need to come together, make a stand, and get rid of them.
Absolutely. Anything else for the good of the order, or are we just going to call it a night? It's been a great show. We do need to let you know that coming up June the 1st, you and I are going to be live at South Cove for the Meet the Candidates. Right. That's coming up from the Oconee Republican Party, Oconee Republican men and women. That's going to be held starting at 11 o'clock. You and I will be on there starting at 9 a.m. We'll carry the whole event live.
Right.
Next show that we're going to do, we do have Memorial Day coming up this weekend. So
Saturday we're doing the 5K, right?
That is correct. We need to talk about that because we got to get a plan together and what time we're going to start and stuff. So yes, we are going to be doing that. And for the most part, I think that's about it.
I think so.
Hey, have y'all seen some of I just want to interject for 1 second. Some of this misinformation. I just want to tell everybody you're getting these flyers that are from somewhere in Texas.
Special interest flyers.
Special interest flyers with lots of propaganda about some candidates. First, ask yourself why they're coming from Texas. Second of all, fact check all of that stuff. Look at actual laws and look up those laws because it's really interesting. One of them said something about a trans agenda, and it's a women's hunting and fishing day. So fact check, y'all. Be sure and read. Reading is power. It's interesting, real interesting.
The more you know.
The more you know.
The more you know. All right, well, folks, that's going to do it for our show tonight. Again, thank you so much for watching. This is definitely one that you might want to go back and watch again. There was so much. It'll be available on our website at letstalkoconeesc.com. As always, Facebook's available. Again, our next show we're going to do next Tuesday.
I'll be out of town, but that'll be all right.
I won't. I'm always here.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, but hey, next Tuesday, Chris will be here, and we get to talk about all the anti-Semitic movement in Oconee County.
Let me
There's a
see
lot.
here. The 28th, we will have the show. And then June the 9th, we'll have a special 2-hour show for leading up to the Republican primary coming up. And we'll talk about candidates, and we will give you our picks of who we think. And I think you're right. This congressional district thing, it's definitely going to go into a runoff. There is no way about it.
Right. There's just too many.
Too many, and it scares me half to death on what I'm seeing, by the way.
Yeah. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I'll tell you, the solicitor's race, to me, the solicitor's race is getting interesting too.
Absolutely.
I'm seeing some things now that makes me question some certain things. So anyway, I got us a cat. Have you heard this cat? You got to listen to this. This is awesome.
Dude,
Yeah, I go meow. I go meow. Go meow.
that's a rap song cat.
Yep.
I like it.
Gonna start playing that one soon, right, Randy?
That's right. Quandale, we miss you.
Thought I'd play this for you as we go out. See it? Oh, that's great. All right, folks, have a good night. And we will see you. We'll see you the 28th of November. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Goodbye, y'all.
But they're